Hello and welcome to Critical Rollback.
Archimedes' death ray. More like Archimedes' nuts, am I right?
Forgive her, she is sick.
I have COVID. It's happened. I have the Rona. After 3 years.
The Rona got to her.
I'm Bal, by the way.
I'm Jana. I might sound a little sick, but that's just because I've literally just fallen out of bed and wasn't hydrated properly through the night. Everybody stay hydrated.
You might also be a little under the weather as well. So we're here for a low energy episode in the middle of the night for me.
Early morning for
coming
me.
at you
On
with
a
episodes early morning. Coming at you with a combined episode
26 and 27. The low point. Yeah. Though I will say,
it's technically still April Fool's for me, by the way.
Oh, wonderful. Nothing like. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by how comparatively painless, especially 27 is when you watch it at 1.5 speed, because the awkward, horrible, tense moments don't really hit as hard when they are only half as long.
Yeah. I had the same feeling when, I was watching, a Percy scene in 1.5 speed. And I realized that, certain Percy dialogue, and I don't mean this as a dig at Percy, and I loved how I honestly genuinely love how Taliesin does his speech, but his speech pattern can be very slow, and actually in 1.5 speed he just sounds like a normal person talking. It just takes care of all, the long pauses where Percy stops and thinks about what he's saying, and then, haltingly says it.
Which are, those pauses are so meaningful, though. That's, his entire thing.
They're so meaningful. And in another episode, I would absolutely revel in those pauses, because those pauses are wonderful. They speak volumes. Which is another shame about the Legend of Vox Machina, which is, again, suffers from the same problem with most people adapting Percy dialogue, which is they think that Percy has to, because he's smart, has to patter. But he's not. He's not a patter speaker. He's a very, slow speaker, actually.
Yeah, that's more it than, a certain melody to his speech. It's just the long, heavy pauses and the very deliberate way he says things. He has, essentially he has two modes. He has the slow, deliberate mode and the dig out, we roll mode. Which...
Yes.
Some might call it,
and he switches back and forth from them so fast.
Yeah, he is a little bit... He's, and I mean this in the medical condition, bipolar.
Yeah, no, I strongly think that, that was genuinely this will come up in the episode probably, but I genuinely believe that, Taliesin was playing intentionally Percy as having some sort of, mixed manic and depressive episodes.
Yeah, no, that is...
Throughout the campaign.
Throughout the campaign, we can track this pretty well, actually. Oh, this is his manic phase, this is his depressive phase, which is kind of funny, because when Taliesin returns to episode 27, he starts out so high energy, it's a little distracting.
Yeah, you've just... you weren't here for all of episode 26, just through the grueling thing, so you're fresh, you're ready to go.
You have hope left.
Anyway. Yes, you have hope left,
Getting ahead of ourselves.
Getting ahead of ourselves.
Is there, anything, critical role related we need to talk about at this point?
Nothing that I can think of. I mean, this week was not an episode week, so nothing in particular is happening.
Yeah, Laura and Ashley were on the Last of Us show.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's cool. Laura featured as a... Once again, I'm not gonna get into this, but The Last of Us show really is an example of, this whole thing works much better as a show or a movie than a video game, huh?
Yeah, there's a reason people, it mostly caught on in the form of watching the cutscenes. Because if you're not into it, there's not a whole lot, it's not like there's a whole lot of choice you have here or anything. You're just kind of watching a movie, and occasionally you have to kill zombies in between, from what I gather.
Yeah. And as far as I can tell, the zombie killing is pretty fun. I remember watching, a playthrough of it. It does seem very creative, but also it seems you know how, when you're in a meeting and, couldn't this have been an email? Very much feels like that. Couldn't this have been a movie?
And yeah, it could have been. And actually, when you give it, a decade, and approach some topics with some more sensitivity and actually lean into the narrative stuff, it apparently turns out to be a really, 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 really good show.
Apparently. I mean, I can't watch it for my reasons, but as far as I know, the scene in which Ashley Johnson, spoilers, is like, very good. And it's like, that is whole cloth made for the show. That Ashley Johnson is in The Last of Us, but not as that character.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit weird because she is not a teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny that the actor playing Ellie is like, I knew them before from two things.
Uh-huh.
Like, they were on Game of Thrones, where they were just playing little hard-ass girl who was insulting people left and right and then got killed by a giant zombie.
Oh, that's who they were.
They were Lyanna Mormont.
They were the bear girl.
Yes, exactly, the bear girl.
Mm-hmm.
They were also, for like 4 to 5 seasons, Netflix's The Worst Witch.
Huh. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, more people should be.
I feel like... we're trying to avoid talking about this episode as much as possible.
We usually talk about other stuff, and I haven't even mentioned the Cannibal Show yet.
You mentioned they can't talk about the Cannibal Show.
I mean, I'm still stuck in season 1 because I have to watch it in very small bites. No pun intended.
Bites.
Can I just finish my point about The Worst Witch, which more people should watch? Like, my adaptation will always be the 90s show. And let's be real,
tell us
the
about
90s...
The Worst Witch. I don't know anything about it.
It's all-girls school, low-stakes Harry Potter is what it is. But older.
Oh.
It's from, like, the
have
80s.
You told me about
I
this?
have. I bring it up every time we talk about how... Yes, like, the books are comparatively low stakes. I really like the 90s show. I started watching the 2017 adaptation on Netflix, but I don't like stories about protagonists that are just predestined to be bad at what they do, and that's kind of what it is. Like, and watching somebody try so hard not to be the worst and failing the entire time was hitting a little close to home. So I never really finished watching any of it, but especially the 90s show is very much where the Harry Potter movies got their aesthetic from. And they essentially had, like, female Snape, because for some reason people have unresolved issues with their chemistry teachers when it should be the gym teachers. Though, the Worst Witch also has,
really
like, gym teacher trauma, because the Worst Witch also sucks at broom flying.
Ugh.
Yeah, so, no, I recommend, especially the 90s show. That one was fun. The Netflix adaptation featuring Bella Ramsey is probably also really good. It just wasn't the right time for me. And yeah, in the meantime, and also, like, after Florence and the Machine awakened things in me, I have been watching a Yellowjackets, a show about a girls' soccer team and, like, their coach and sons of their other coach being stuck in a hut in the wilderness together for 18 months after a plane crash, and developing, like, a cult about it. Yeah. And then the adult survivors coping with all of that.
Just teenage girl stuff.
Yeah, I will say that the premise of running for office when you have this big hole in your background, and then be surprised when your opponent keeps making cannibal jokes about you, is like, girl, what did you think would happen here?
Yeah.
Just, girl, I wanted to like you, and your teenage self was really cool. The adult selves are not, because, like, trauma doesn't make you cool, necessarily.
Or interesting.
Yeah. And I enjoy the teenage girl bits more than the adult woman bits, but, it's plot. And I mean, I am very much into teenagers being stuck in huts together and trauma bonding. Not so much the cannibalism stuff, but,
and
like...
making religion.
I don't know, that was also the aspects I watched them, and they are very cleverly written, but that's when I, like, pause or fast forward, because the creepiness is getting to me. But it's so well written.
Yeah.
It's such a smart show.
Yeah, I think it has kind of, like, the Lost problem, I feel. Though I haven't watched any of this, to be honest, just seen trailers and things, where it seems like genuinely, like, the thing about Lost to me was that, like, whenever I tried to watch Lost, I'd be like, I'm compelled by the circumstances, but I really could not give a shit less about, like, the supernatural stuff, which is rare for me.
I watched, like, a 2-hour YouTube essay on Lost once, and, like, if they just stuck with supernatural stuff on an island, that might have been better, but then they kind of kept adding, and this is a government conspiracy, and this is a parallel society, and this is an experiment, and it's like, can we, like, pick a struggle?
Yeah. When will people, like, understand that what we really want to watch is, just some people driving in the wilderness? I remember when I was a small child, when one of the things that, like, one of the books that I recall our teacher reading for us in reading class was, like, basically Lord of the Flies fanfiction.
Huh.
It was like a Lord of the Flies fanfiction, but what if the kids had, like, not started killing each other?
Neat.
Yeah, I don't fully remember the plot of it, but I just remember that they almost start killing each other, and then they're like, maybe not, and they just start cooperating instead.
Yeah, how about that? That's also, by the way, how the soccer team show is going. They are cooperating for now. Like, we see them hunt and eat a person in the pilot episode, but we do not know who that is, and they haven't gotten to that point yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, let me just...
Cannibalism. Anyway, content spoiler warnings. Hello there. Welcome to the content and spoiler warnings for episode 26-27. You might notice that I'm recording this very far ahead in the future. That's because it took us a really long time to edit this episode and to get it to the state where you are hearing it now. And also, it's just been a hard 2023, and as I'm now recording this, it is only a couple hours until 2024. So, with that being in mind, let's just push on through to these content and spoiler warnings. Starting off with the content warning, we will be talking about uncomfortable sexual stuff in this episode. It's an inevitability. There's gonna be some weird, random fantasy racism. It's gonna be strange. There's gonna be some after effects of gore and trauma and discussions thereof. And there will be, in big bold letters, animal cruelty, specifically towards horses. Additionally, we will be talking about cannibalism in a different context than usual, and we will be discussing suicide. The spoiler warnings, as far as I'm aware, only pertain to Campaign 2 of Critical Role, and that should be about it. In addition, I'm very happy to say that after this episode, there will be no more Orion Akaba. I do not have to warn you against him. This is the very last 2 episodes in which he will feature, and he will be gone forever from our minds. Yay! Enjoy the rest of the episode. Bye! So, out of game tips.
What does the script say?
It says content prior to game.
Thank you.
Because you have a bit and you stuck to it.
Yes. The bit is called plausible deniability.
Speaking of C words, Taliesin caught a con plague.
Yes! Also very fitting, isn't it?
Yes, very fitting.
This is so thematically coherent. Oh my god.
So this episode is literally just it's an anime OVA
yes!
is what it is.
Yes, exactly. I've made this comparison before. This is that one OVA where Itachi makes an entire room full of fried eggs for Sasuke.
Yes,
this is what this is. Yes, if you only ever consume one piece of Naruto content in your entire life, I am glad it was this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the only Naruto thing I've ever consumed in full. It's that and the AMV that you sent me.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I also find it fascinating because I've never seen anyone cook fried eggs that way.
No, neither have I. It is extremely...
I kind of want to try it.
It is extremely intense in, like, an anime fight kind of way, because that's essentially what it is.
Yes, it is.
Huh.
Matt's hair is getting long.
Yes. They also have, like, this bit going called No Shave until 10k, until they get 10k subscribers, that I don't think anybody on this table, like, works with.
Observes?
Yeah, like, Liam is going to have a weird goatee in the next episode, but, and Matt just has, like, a 5 o'clock shadow. Like, maybe he just grows very sparsely, who knows?
Yeah, I genuinely don't know, and would be willing to put money on the notion that Matt can't actually grow a beard. He doesn't have, like, the face. I don't know, I think I've only ever seen him with, like, a very sparse stubble. So I don't know if he can, but he probably shouldn't.
I mean, I think also he just doesn't.
Yeah. Which is fine. Doesn't fit his face.
No.
And we already know the consequences of, Travis's real-life beard, which is that the show grows the beard quite literally, as soon as Travis grows the beard.
True. God, yes. Like, seeing Travis without a beard is just weird.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. Something's wrong here.
Like, it's still, like, he still doesn't look bad or anything. Just extremely baby. These people are still older than me, but they look so baby. So baby, yes. Speaking of, babies, I was going to say that they are doing charity streams. They are, and they are doing charity streams separate from what Wizards of the Coast is doing at the time. That would stop when Wizards of the Coast realized that Critical Role is kind of their biggest advertiser.
Yes, kind of a huge part of the reason why they are at all successful.
Yep, in modern times, that is.
Yes.
There's also, like, New York Comic Con where they, like, have a panel and it's tiny and a signing and it's not that big either, but they also announced they're just going to have an informal fan hangout off premises the day after, which, like...
sounds dangerous to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they've been accepting food from the chat in a while now, but holy fucking shit, you guys. Remember the times when they could just do that?
That is insane. It's insane that they ever did that, especially since, like, at this point they are already marching on 10,000 followers. Well, 10,000 Twitch subscribers. And yet they're still doing, like, informal fan meetups just after the thing. And it's like, are you sure?
I mean...
Are you sure you want to do
those
that?
10,000 Twitch subscribers are probably not all going to be able to make it to New York.
No, but I honestly think that, like, once you have, like, more than 1,000 fans, at least one of them statistically is going to be kind of a weirdo. So you really are playing, like, Russian roulette at this point, right?
Kinda, yeah.
Speaking of a different baby, not an actual baby, but a baby girl, Liam Oberon Thirst Trap.
Lobster Thirst Trap Oberon. He's wearing a...
It's like... Yes, Lobster Thirst Trap
Who you will remember from our last episode was just really, really into getting railed by some vampires.
So into getting railed by some vampires. And now he's wearing a t-shirt that says, "Keep calm and bite me."
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Probably because he enjoys it himself.
Yes. He's wearing the actual Thirst Trap shirt for episode 27, but is extremely unremembered for that.
Yeah. Some things Liam does, I think, to elicit a fan reaction. That's the entirety of Shadowcast.
I mean, he barely did that. Let's be real, he barely did that. The fans did that for him, and then Matt bullied him into committing.
Yes, and he only ever did it when he was in front of a live audience, because, boy, is he nothing if not consistent.
True.
But, like, the thing where he, like, puts his arms behind his head and, like, flexes, that's a thing that he's doing to elicit reaction. And some things, I'm pretty sure he does just because they're for him, they're for Liam O'Brien, and I'm pretty sure that's the entirety of the vampire thing.
The entirety of, I'm just a stupid little boy ready to be railed.
Oh, me, I'm just a silly little pool boy at the vampire mansion. Oh boy, I hope no vampire couple rails me.
Oh, I'm positioning myself in front of this bed accidentally.
Oh, and my shirt is open. What happened? Oh no, my throat is so vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't quite show off his bite wounds this episode with his tighter shirt, huh?
Nope. Though I will say this about various choices of outfits. I feel very bad. Yeah, you've copied the comment that I saw. To just ripped whoever bought Arrive at $400 cloak.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that they bought it. It was more like he had purchased a $400 cloak, and then they donated the money to their charity. But essentially he just is, it's a free cloak is what it is.
Yeah, somebody got Orion a crazy expensive cloak / robes to wear on stream for it to be in character, because they were working towards being a full cosplay show at this point, apparently, which I'm very glad they never were.
Yes.
And Orion did faithfully wear this cloak for his remaining time on the show.
Yeah, every single time he appeared.
Every single one of those 2 episodes, he was in the cloak.
So, rip to whoever made that cloak. You're not getting the free advertisement.
Rip, but also...
yeah.
Shit taste. Like, the cloak was fine. The person you awarded to, though...
Yeah, bad choice. I would have charged him. Double.
Yeah. So in his non-shaving thing, Liam has a bit of a goatee in the 2nd episode, and is also wearing the black Henley again.
Mm-hmm.
They...
in the 2nd episode oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they allude to Dee and Diesel having happened.
Yes. Matthew implies that, Vin Diesel smells like a variety of things.
Yeah.
Including muscles, and, I don't know, wishes, I think.
Many things.
A fresh meadow.
It's also Liam does this thing where he gifts people things on stream, which he does a lot. And the moments are cute.
That is a cute thing.
The moments are cute. In this case, he commissioned art of Scanlan from Kid Buzz that they just keep on display for the entire episode.
Yeah, it's nice.
And if you look carefully in the background, the Trinket plushie has armor now.
He does! He's an armored
He was wearing, white foam with sections on it for a few episodes, but they finally managed to do the craft show where they make his armor. And also get sexually assaulted by him. There's clips in the rapid fire ad they have.
Yeah.
I have words about that. They won't be kind.
Please do. I don't have any words about that, to be honest.
Once we get it to the break.
I skipped it.
Get to the break. I've made a devastating observation, and I'm very sorry.
Oh no.
Anyways.
This episode, so episode 26, came out on October 1st.
Episode 27 came out on October 8th, birthday of my elementary school nemesis.
Wow, you have a good memory for that kind of stuff.
I know! It is very annoying.
Is there anything else out of cue before we continue?
I don't think so. No, we can just go to the next section. Collecting ourselves, or also, where are we at?
Yes. Also known as Where Are We At? Yeah. We are out of the vampire bedroom and into the very bad place. Yep. After a quick detour to the cottagecore filler. Fuck.
Close. Very close. Yeah, so we've already alluded to the fact that the last episode was just Lobster Thirst-Trapped Oberon trying very hard to get eaten.
Hoping to God that he dies this time in a sexy way. But no, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Also, the only other thing important to mention is that, they kind of chainsawed an old lady.
They sure did. They sure chainsawed that old lady. Well, no, they didn't chainsaw an old lady. Tiberius chainsawed an old lady.
Yes.
We
will stand by this. It's, yeah, so, getting into it, I will say that this episode 26, is named very aptly because there is one half of the episode about consequences and one half of the episode about cows.
It's not really... Yeah, it's definitely consequences then cows, not cows then consequences.
Nope, it's consequences and cows. Which today would be called cancel culture and cows, and that's the joke, that's why the episode is called that way.
Yes it is. We start off with a tirade that we already went on, which is that, hey, wait a minute, Percy's not coming down for breakfast.
And oh my god, our lady guest is also not coming down. Eyebrow waggle, eyebrow waggle, eyebrow waggle.
I also forgot just how heteronormative this is. Like, there's a specific point in which Scanlan says, like, a man and a woman. Yep. It's like, okay, come on, guys.
My dude, my guy, aren't you the little pansexual pest? Mm-hmm. Well, he's that, but it serves the joke.
Yes, exactly. He's very fluid in his sexuality, which is what's the funniest thing to Sam Riegel at the moment.
Exactly. So,
he's bad bisexual representation. He's problematic bisexual representation. Or pansexual by representation, anyway.
Wood. Yeah, yes. So I will say it is kind of funny that we discussed this at length in the last episode with our dearest, most darling artist.
Yes! And it was lovely.
It was lovely.
So we don't need to relitigate this.
Nope.
But
we are with Vex on this. Like Percy was not in the mood.
Yeah, it's also it's interesting to me, like, just how much Vex is just like it's a complete no sell for her. She's just like, no, it's not.
I mean, you can also kind of see her leading into but it would be funny. But no.
It would be funny, but she just can't. She can't see, and it's not no. Like, you can tell that she almost wants it to have happened, but no, it didn't. It didn't happen.
Yeah, she's the one to check on them and to find Lilith's note, which basically says, "Well, don't want to put you in danger. Gonna jump right back across the pond. Bye.
Bye. I can't have you face the risk of the UK." No, you need to go. I'm going back to Turf Island.
It wasn't even that bad at the time.
No, it wasn't.
God, 2015 was just like, no, we were hot off the heels.
A more innocent
hot off the heels of Gamergate, but somehow a better time.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about it and I feel the same way that I feel about, like, you know that one, like, Star Wars quote that's like, lightsaber, a weapon from a more civilized era.
That's going a little bit too far.
Anyway.
But yeah. Remember when we, like, when, like, in 2021 we were all nostalgic for the beginning of 2020? The early pandemic days?
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone is having fun with this whole Percy Lilith bit. Except for Tiberius, who is always uncomfortable when we're not about him, and tries to get some errands done.
Always. Just so many errands. They make fun of the fact that this entire episode is going to be just Tiberius errands, but no. No. That's next episode.
Yep. And, like, plot twist, when they go looking for him, Percy is indeed banging.
He's banging and he's hammered.
Oh, yeah. Both of those things.
Nailed, even, possibly.
Not entirely sure what he would use nails for in that scenario, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He's smelting.
That too. He's like trauma smelting. There's a cute bit where Grog and Scanlan go to the basement to look for him, and then Grog lifts up Scanlan so he can look, like, through the hole in the door.
Yeah, by the way, this is the most accurate Matt's ever going to get at Percy.
Yeah.
And it's not very accurate.
Yeah, he's kind of dismissive and making fun of Scanlan, but also, like, not all there. Like, the whole like, dejectedness is very on point. This is the most inoffensive Matt's Percy ever gets.
Yes. And which you can also tell because he's sort of like, he's not really doing Percy's accent, he's kind of like suggesting Percy's accent, which I honestly kind of found to be less distracting than future versions. Because in the future when he does Percy, spoilers for Campaign 3, he almost like, he tries too hard at the accent almost.
And we all know that whenever
loses the cadence.
Yeah, and we all know whenever Matt tries too hard at the accent of another player character, it goes weird.
Yeah, it goes weird. It's not quite right. It's like it's less offensive when he's just suggesting sort of the idea of the accent.
Yeah.
Where you can, like, fill in you can fill in the blanks for yourself, whereas, like, when he's doing it so close, you're like, oh, I can hear all the ways it's not.
It will never not be funny that literally everyone else at the table had a better gesture than he did.
Yes, and he worked at it.
Yeah.
He worked so hard at it, and yet, the better he got at it, the more you notice the ways in which it is flawed.
Yeah, and the ways in which he was trying so hard when, like, Travis just went on talks with a doll and just nailed it. I think Laura uses the voice at home a lot, so that might be part of it.
Yeah.
So Travis had the most exposure.
Definitely. Anyway, there's a great quote about sort of the Tiberius and Lockheed relationship, which to me is like, because, like, Tiberius in this episode and the next is very focused about, like, training Lockheed commands, probably because he like, realized the limitedness of his function last episode, when he was, feeble-minded and couldn't really use Lockheed for much.
Yeah, I will, like, when he tries to, I mean, first of all, he rolls, and then says us what he wants to do, which is not how it goes, and Matt is very annoyed by it.
Yes.
Matt then says that after having trying to having tried to, like, hammer in all of these commands into Lockheed, there's a bit of balking frustration. Lockheed feels like there's less of a friendship and more of a master-servant relationship, and he resents you for it, which, woof.
Loaded.
Fucking loaded.
It's loaded.
It is also on point, because we only ever see Lockheed when it is to teach him to do something, and never as, like, just a pet who is, like, there to be, adored.
Cute.
Trinket is
charming.
Kind of a constant presence. Lockheed is just there to learn stuff.
It reminds me a lot of, like, how, you remember, like, in Campaign 2, Ismasm / Christine has mentioned to us before about how, like, the problem with, Frumpkin is that he's only ever a cat when it's nice and never a cat when it's not nice.
Yes.
He's never doing the inconvenient cat stuff, he's only doing the convenient cat stuff.
Yeah, but, like...
I don't know, next episode we'll have a thing where, like, Tiberius is basically, like, cramming commands into him, and Matt basically says, like, you can't do that.
I mean, Matt is going to be saying that a lot.
Yeah, but just, like, the fundamental lack of realization that you can't teach an animal all the tricks by basically forcing them to learn a command a day for a week. Because they're going to get burned out.
You know what he's doing?
What?
He's doing the pet power leveling from the Brian David Gilbert video.
Oh god, he is.
Just unironically.
Yeah, that's not how that works. Nope. Sorry, you can teach him a command.
Yeah, and, like, assuming your pet knows one command after teaching it to them for a few hours in one day is also like, no. Fucking Nintendo had a better system than that. Yes.
You don't teach them one and then they go, solved, got it.
Yep.
You have to repeat that shit a lot.
You sure do. Just continuous learning and reinforcing. Like, I'm pretty sure that Nintendogs had it that if you didn't train your dog in obedience for a while, it would just, like, not react to your commands anymore. And that was a 2006 game.
Yes. Anyway, Vex is supportive of hate smelting. Of course she is. She has a thing for blacksmiths.
Yeah, well, Keyleth would really, really like to talk about, last night.
Yeah, she would love to talk about last night.
So she kind of...
I honestly find,
It's really funny because Keyleth is having this conversation about both Tiberius' escalation of violence and Percy's "Your soul is forfeit" line, while neither of the people are in the room.
Yeah, she's just in a way that feels very like summative. It feels like just sort of a summary, like a nice burrito wrap of everything that Keyleth is doing in these 2 episodes. Keyleth is talking to no one, and no one is listening. But she's saying right things.
Yeah, she is very correct in what she says, and she is humored, not honored, Google Docs. But nothing more.
Mm-hmm. Nothing more.
Like, she just tries to talk to people and be like, so this was weird, and this was cause for concern, and everyone is like, yeah, yeah, we hear you, yeah, we were being attacked, and Percy just does that, yeah, but we hear you. Anyways.
Yep. Your feelings are valid, and it's like, well, she doesn't need her feelings validated, okay? She knows her feelings are valid.
Yeah, could we, like, do something about it? I mean, not really very much when neither of the people she's talking about are in the room, because Tiberius is busy using his Read the Monster Manual to me feat.
Yes. Yes, he is.
So he gets some, D&D accurate information about vampires, and then Matt just is like, so that information is now at your disposal.
Now that you know they're vampires.
Yep.
That you've never faced it. You're a character who does not have the internet, so you don't know very much about vampires.
Yeah, also I've noticed, like, a thing that Tiberius does in these 2 episodes is weirdly world-building-ish, where just the existence of vampires is apparently cause for, to call a fucking army down on you, but, he just seems to be, like, ideologically worried about this.
Yeah, he's ideologically worried about a lot of things.
Yeah, but, like, there's an in-universe extreme issue people have with vampirism, which, like, very well might be, probably should be, based on backstory, world-building stuff. Just like how everyone should have known Vasselheim, you guys. It's world history. It's your fucking world.
Yeah.
Well, Jerusalem,
it's where all
whatever.
people came from.
Yeah.
It's where literally every person came from.
Literally.
It's like where's the it's like people not knowing what Africa is. Like, you know Africa, where we were made as a species. You remember Africa.
Yeah, so Tiberius then deigns to rejoin the plot herd and the conversation, where they try to approach him with like, so what is it you're doing and why are you doing it? And he's like, I'm doing great things. You've seen how I used my mending wheel. Like, yeah, it literally never worked. Like, next episode, it is going to continue to not work. It's just...
Yeah, I generally just don't think the mending wheel is, like, magical at this point.
Somebody just gave him, like, a thing, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think it's just like a needle and spindle.
Yeah, it's just a thing they sell to stupid tourists. Oh, the magical mending wheel! Yes!
It's like a chip. It's like, oh, this is a rock from the Berlin Wall.
Probably, yeah. Though at least for that,
the magical mending wheel.
At least for the Berlin Wall, that was made of a lot of rock, so you can concrete. So no bricks. So you could legitimately sell a lot of it because it was a pretty long thing. Which isn't as...
Plausible deniability.
Yeah. Yeah, plausible deniability. There's still nobody selling pieces of it today. It's like, those are most likely going to be authentic. And, like, even if so, it's, like, concrete with, like, graffiti on it on one side and maybe some explosion marks on the other side. Who knows? Sure, you do you.
Exciting stuff. And then Vex proceeds to shit the bed.
God, yeah, so Keel is trying to very reasonably talk about the escalation of violence because that old woman was unconscious, asleep, and fleeing, and hadn't done anything.
Yes, 3 things. I mean, she did, like... I do agree with the thought that, like, yes, she was attacking them, but it's also worth noting that, like, she didn't really act in a... was she of a group that was attacking them? Yes.
Was she any good at doing it?
No. And also they decimated that threat so quickly that I agree. It just feels bad to say that she was attacking you because not really. She had already, by the time her turn came around, she had already kind of swapped to defense mode.
Yep, and was asleep. Like, I will say...
And when she wasn't asleep, she was attempting to flee.
I will say that it feels a little bit hypocritical to write this one death as hard as everyone does here. Like, there's so much violence in this setting and people just getting killed so routinely without impunity or anything, with impunity, whatever, that this particular death getting harped on is like, I mean, they really don't make a very good case about how she was part of an attacking group.
That's true. But I do think that I genuinely agree with Keel's point here, which is just like, if they had really listened to her, what she's saying is not, I'm mad about this specific thing, but I'm mad about sort of the way in which, like, we're spiraling towards, like, we are, like, I think you've said it already, but just escalating violence.
Yes. It's not about the old woman was killed, it's about the how.
Yes. It's about that they didn't think, like, should we kill this old woman? And we're just sort of taken for granted that she should be.
Which, to be fair, yeah, that's kind of always how it goes. But also the way in which she was killed was, like, uniquely gnarly.
Mm-hmm. Which I will say this. If you're going to chainsaw an old woman to death, she probably should be asleep before you do it. I don't think her being awake when it happened would have been better.
Probably not. So before we bring up what Vax says here, which is just the biggest bullshit, oh my god, how dare you, somebody put it in the comments
soft lock that relationship.
Yeah, somebody in the comments said that, well, but Keyleth did drown that dwarf in lava, and like, yeah, you remember the circumstances of that?
Yeah, she did.
Remember how those dwarves were threatening to eat them?
Remember how she was trying to drown him faster?
Mm-hmm.
And even then, like, she was attempting to be as humane. Like, and even when she was doing it, she said, this is the meanest thing I've ever done.
And she doesn't feel good about it. She doesn't feel good about it at all.
No, she doesn't.
And you know what she also doesn't feel good about?
Killing that child.
God. Which isn't even comparable. It wasn't even intentional. Like...
No, and I honestly kind of feel weird about saying you killed that child because, like, it doesn't even really feel like she did. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I would say the child was killed by your actions, you know? Like, you did a thing that caused a death.
Flash forward to / remember when Scanlan way more intentionally kills a child later on.
Yes.
And we just...
And, you know...
Sure.
I'm pretty sure, like, a person who was not resurrected. Like, a hostage.
Yeah, like, the child was resurrected, the other person wasn't. It was just collateral damage. I mean, we start the show by maybe we're destroying firebolts into a mineshaft, so,
Yeah. This is all to say, Keyleth's right. The escalation of violence is a problem. And I don't think they're really listening to her.
And also bringing up the time she killed that child, which, like, in-game has been tearing her the fuck up. How dare you, Vax? And out of game...
Don't you love this woman? Are you sure?
Supposed to? Like, the best part about this is really just, like, Laura's reaction to this. Which, like, wow, not cool.
Not cool, dude. And also, not even an appropriate thing, like, comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, like...
You just said this to throw a wrench into the conversation.
And then he dares to, then he has the audacity to make fun of how everything falls apart afterwards. Like, yeah, dude, what did you expect?
You threw a wrench into the conversation, and now you're like, oh, wow, look at how that wrench is in the conversation. Isn't that funny?
Who put that apple here? Couldn't have been me.
Couldn't have been me.
And we've already, like, speculated on the situation in which this child was killed, which was probably just a different tone, and Matt being mean, and miscommunication.
Miscommunication. You know? Miscommunication kills 9 times out of 10.
Yep, just like this. My, anonymous hippo. That's a very happy hippo.
I'd rather be that than a weird warthog tiger.
Yep. Yeah, so, that's... Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that kills that conversation.
Indeed. Then Vex has the good sense to worry about, well, so what are we going to tell Uriel? What are we going to tell Uriel, and do we need evidence? And everyone is like, well, it's fine, everybody saw it, we're good.
No.
Not how that works. Not how any of this works.
Not how any of this works, which they will quickly learn.
Very quickly. When they go to the palace, Vax kind of detracts from everything by looking for his trouser snake, which is a running gag for the next 2 episodes.
Yes, which it feels like a running gag in the way that, like, God, what was Rayshawn's? Larkin. In the way that Larkin is a running gag, it feels like Liam is the only person not in on the joke.
He seems a lot more in on the joke here.
That's true, he is in on the joke, but it just, I will say it's very cute. It's very cute to see Vax just constantly, he just wants a snake back. And everyone's just, no, what are you talking about?
A snake? A belt? A trouser snake? What?
Stop asking about a snake. Stop asking why would they know if the snake is named Simon?
Yeah, he's...
It feels like you're doing a prank call in real life right now.
And that's how they keep reacting.
Yeah. Especially the time where you offered to pay them, which also feels like you're asking these guards to find your trouser snake for money.
Also, just pointing it out, money has no value.
So the meeting is rancid.
Yeah, they come in there, everyone is already on the side of Uriel, like, even though Laura positions herself that way, there's 30 guards in the back that could all die to one fireball if worst comes to worst, but hey, thanks for trying.
Are aware of it.
It's like, Uriel in this meeting doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But, like,
no,
he's mind-controlled and a bit of a dum-dum.
Yeah, he's both. He's a combination of a bit of a dum-dum with a tendency to get mind-controlled, and also he's literally mind-controlled right now, so even though they make really good arguments, none of them really sink through because he's mind-controlled.
They make some really good arguments, and also some not-so-good arguments, but also I will say, this is a fucking kangaroo court.
Yeah.
Vex points this out later, but, like, Arbiter Braum comes forward and casts Zone of Truth on them. But he doesn't tell them. No one tells them about it. They could have just chosen to fail it.
Yeah, which also I hate because, like, Arbiter Braum, not mind-controlled, just made this bad choice. And two, it feels very much like, hey, why did you resist arrest? No, but like, why are, like, hey, you shouldn't have resisted that spell that you didn't know I was casting on you. What, are you hiding something?
Yeah, because they are extremely into just being under spells like this and revealing all they know and stuff, and they would be totally have been fine with a Zone of Truth spell if somebody had told them what was happening.
Because nobody told them this, it's then sort
very
of used against them.
Stupid.
Like, oh, you resisted when we tried to cast it.
I want to make a magical law enforcement system now.
You have to tell someone if you're going to cast a spell on them.
It's like Harry Potter levels of dumb. Like, if you have magical means of divining whether somebody's telling the truth or not, you have to work a lot harder and more creative to write about miscarriages of justice, huh?
Yeah, though I will say, you can't force someone to tell the truth. They can just not say anything.
Yeah, but I also think that systems like this should have, like, the ability to make people volunteer to be compelled to tell the truth.
Yes.
Shouldn't be used against them if they don't.
Yes.
But the option should be open.
Yeah.
I'm again glaring at the Harry Potter book sitting in a corner. Written by someone who didn't even bother to watch, like, a legal drama before writing court scenes.
I'm also thinking about Kevin Perjurer now.
Who?
Kevin,
the defunct guy?
The defunct guy. Just that name, Kevin Perjurer.
I watched, like, I think the first full video of his I watched was the one about the Disney Channel music, and I just wrote to you asking, is his name literally Perjurer?
And it is. It really is. Some dude in his family did a perjury so bad that they're all perjurers now forever. I do know that there's like an ancient Germanic magic thing that the Catholic Church was like, let's get rid of that real quick, which led to the werewolf trials.
Oh, okay, I don't know this one. Okay.
Oh yeah, there was like a German werewolf trial thing. Bunch of people got, I'm pretty sure hanged for this. There was just sort of a cultural belief at the time. Like, we don't know very much about it because, again, it was not written down anywhere. But it's like, I think if I remember correctly, it's like, the thought was like, if you can make the wolf go away, if you're like someone who can trap or scare away wolves, then logically you must also be able to summon a wolf.
Sure, that's how that works.
Yeah, so there was just kind of like a slightly religious, just a slightly kind of religious tilt to the concept of someone who was like a wolf hunter or a wolf trapper.
Yeah, and then Christianity went stomp, and we lost all of this cool ancient belief.
Yeah, and we lost the wolves.
Oh no, and now you're anonymous blobfish.
No.
Aw, I only told the blobfish anecdote, I'm pretty sure, so hey, whatever.
So this entire meeting is as worse, as bad as it could have been.
It's so fucking tits up. Like, okay, first of all, Uriel's account of events is actually not wrong.
No, especially from an outsider.
They did ask loaded questions. Vax did sneak into a bedroom when there was an attack there. I mean, the Briarwoods kind of started it, but he did intrude into their bedroom, and then there was a fight scene, and then they did very callously kill, more or less innocent, bystanders in the form of people serving the Briarwoods, who, as we will find out later, are, like, not really much given a choice in the matter, are they?
Yes, and then they kidnapped one of the Briarwoods' manservants.
Yep. After shooting his hand off.
Most of his hand off.
Yeah, so this looks very bad, and,
explaining it does not make it worse. Explaining it is making it worse.
Yeah, turns out all the people watching just saw them, like, fighting, and looks like the Briarwoods were defending themselves. Very, like, well, like, they just had skills, but, I mean, everyone here has skills.
Yes. My question is, did nobody see Lady Briarwood Finger of Death Vex? Because that doesn't seem like a spell that you would know unless you've been doing some kind of unsavory stuff.
No. It gets worse. The biggest thing that should have been used in their favor, if somebody had thought about it for a second, is the fact that Allura was actually very much aware that somebody used feeble mind, which is just really bad news, on Tiberius.
It's a lot of unethical magic.
Yeah, this is actually a thing that crosses a few lines that Allura would have been aware of, but...
Yeah, it's also notable that Allura is not involved in this for actually genuinely very good reasons. Number one is that she's biased.
Yeah.
So she's just not a good person for them to use as a defense, because the defense is always going to be, she's biased.
Yeah, she has horrible taste in men, and we also gave her a girlfriend back.
Yes. And also, she's not here because she's not talking to Tiberius right now.
Yeah, she is on Uriel's side of the council, which I think is also, like, partially, you could argue that this is the same way that Assume keeps on pretending to be on Uriel's side here.
Mm-hmm.
To keep up appearances, to keep this whole system running. But
no, to be honest, I think that that part is kind of exaggerated by Vox Machina. I think he doesn't really support... He just doesn't defend them, but he doesn't necessarily back Uriel either.
Yeah. Though I will say that when we talk to him later and he explains his position, this also just shows, like, yeah, King's a nut job, he's mind-controlled, makes bad decisions, and is surrounded by people who are somehow never noticing this. But he's still our sovereign, so we still gotta serve him and keep him safe, which, like... Hello, look at this, they don't have the feudalism brainworms.
Yeah.
I mean, they do, but it's kind of framed as something negative.
Yeah, and I kind of have this vibe, and this is completely a headcanon, that, like, Assume is just sort of, like, a very morally grave figure, where, like, if you really dissected his motives, it would probably be something to the effect of, well, yeah, of course the monarch is stupid and inept, but I can control him, so...
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be good. That's my job.
The single best point made in this entire exchange is when, between going to several yelling places and watching the entire thing, Vax points out that it's really rich of Uriel to trust the people around him unconditionally more than Vox Machina, because all the people around him, except for Allura, who I think was kicked out for it, didn't even notice his entire family was possessed by devils or whatever.
Yeah. Kind of a red flag.
Recent memory, you guys. Like,
yeah.
There should have been a real big restructuring, but the fact that there wasn't is also like, hey, look, this entire system is bad and stupid.
It's almost like the thing about monarchies is that even when they're good, they're very stagnant. Mm-hmm. So, things can just become bad because there's no good way of, like, changing, like, you know? Sometimes the monarch has been, brainwashed by demons. Or a vampire.
And by the nature of the system, it doesn't matter, he is still the monarch.
And also he's surrounded by the exact same people who'd failed to notice it the first time, because they're not people who can be fired, really?
Apparently so. Like, you think Vox Machina is getting kicked off the council very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, admittedly, is not a big loss for them either. They already weren't invited to most meetings and didn't really want to be anyways.
No, it feels like that they were very much like an honorary council member thing, which is going to be fun in future episodes when they actually have to be council members. Who's on the Taldori Council? Love that that's like a figure that we're curious about, as though we don't fully know who's on the Taldori Council.
We didn't know the exact positions when this was like a running gag.
That's true. But yeah, it is interesting in which, like, there's a couple of good points being made here, which again they are in vain because, like,
of course.
Yes, he's brainwashed. There's nothing they can say. That is a really good point. I think the other really good point is, like, it just feels like, you know, the Briarwoods just came out of nowhere, and now he's so happy to placate them and, like, be welcoming to them, and it's like, well, that feels strange, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? And he's like, yeah, but they made so much more effort than the previous family ever did, which, of course, like, in the context he says this in, implies that because of this it was okay to murder the previous family, which is still very much on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my dude, my guy.
My dude, my guy. That is not a good justification to murder the last family and their children and their staff. and enslave their town.
Also, my dude, my guy, you are a sovereign of a pretty big nation. Shouldn't you be, like, a little wary around people who are really, really want to be your friend?
Yeah, and also it feels like it is almost also telling that he's, like, it should be a red flag that he's so dependent and so, like, eager to please people who are still, like, yeah, they're being very welcoming and they're being very receptive to him, but, like, they are sort of, they have nothing to show for it, you know? They're just talking about building a bridge. They haven't done anything.
Yeah, you can't even really get the paperwork because the people trying to get the paperwork keep disappearing.
Yeah, it is a red flag. This is how you know when someone's
Have you
had
any contact with anyone? Have you had any contact with anyone on the other side of that bridge they said they want to build? Because, like, has anyone in Wildmont know that this is happening? And no, they don't count.
I'm pretty sure Sovereign Uriel is in a Nigerian prince scheme. Oh, no.
I'm pretty sure.
If you give us a little money so we can build the bridge, we'll give you your money. We just need to open up the trade routes, right?
Magical word. Trade.
Trade. Whitestone. Ooh. Supply
and demand.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sovereign Uriel is in several Nigerian prince schemes at any given moment.
He's just not brainwashed. The real sad thing about Sovereign Uriel.
Brainwashed, gullible, eager to please.
Yeah, the real sad thing about Sovereign Uriel, right, is that he's brainwashed so frequently that we don't really have a time in which we can just critique how bad of a leader he is, because at all points it's like, well, we don't know. Like, we know that he's a bad leader, right? But also we can't genuinely say how bad of a leader he is because he's always fucking brainwashed.
I mean, like, just at this point in time, he had, like, one dude on his council who was also a secret dragon. Nobody on his council noticed the demonic possession that bit. Mm-hmm. He has another dude who is actively working against him and building, like, weird secret passages into places. And it's, At
some point you have to ask if it's you that's the problem, right?
You know, yeah. And, like, but also, like, the people around you who are allegedly very competent, like, Topher, Brom, assume Allura, who also just never notice any of these things and just let them happen.
Just let them happen, whatever. Which implies sort of an interesting thing, because what if they don't notice that it's happening because this is just how Sovereign Uriel is?
It's just how it is. It's how it has always been. Who knows? Before the dragon and the demons, but there may have been other people who did the exact same thing and nobody ever noticed, and they just successfully ran their schemes and then made room for the next people. Like, Uriel seems like, when he's not mind-controlled and being a dick, a perfectly okay person who never should have been in charge of anything.
No! Because monarchies are not good.
No!
But we did not need to tell you that. You already know that.
Nope. We all do not have feudalism brainworms.
Yes.
I would like to say, but I've witnessed so many Song of Ice and Fire discussions that just miss the entire point completely.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who would make for a good or bad king. Nobody should be king.
So the end result of this whole thing is that they're basically sent out on their year being told that they are no longer on the council. That if they attempt to flee this, they are not actually told that they're not allowed to leave the city. They're just told that
the terms are so, like, wishy-washy, nobody knows what they are exactly.
Yeah. They can't flee the city.
But they're allowed to leave.
It feels very much like
they can walk away at a leisurely pace.
Yeah, it feels very much like when you're told by a police, like, when you're told to ask the police, like, am I being detained? Because, like...
No, you ask, am I free to go?
Am I free to go? Because, like...
And then you ask why you are being detained.
Yes. Because, like, they're not being told... They're not under house arrest. But they're also not under house arrest.
One of the few things that for some reason made more sense on the cartoon.
Yes.
It hurt me to say, but it is true.
It is true. So I do actually have more of a fondness for this just because it feels more realistic to me. That sort of weird gray area of just, like, we're not arresting you. But... can we arrest you then? What if we just sort of arrested you a little bit as like a fun little prank? Would you? Ha ha ha. What if I was arresting you right now? What would you do? Ha 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 ha.
Laugh at you because you're being stupid.
Mm-hmm. It also made me realize, this episode made me realize how fucked up it is that the Cloud Top district is literally closed off to everyone. You need a permit and you need papers to go into the rich part of Iman.
Yep.
That's really fucked up. That's fucked up. I don't like that.
You know, maybe when this character in the first Extended Unlimited part wanted to blow all this shit up, maybe they had a point.
Maybe they did, because it's really fucked up how, like, people have to have papers in order to get into a part of the town because it's too rich. Like, it's not that the Cloud Top district is, like, us.
And that's where their leader is, and like one of the better parts of a monarchy is usually your ability to petition a monarch, which of course was also never really open to most people. But it's really not open here, is it?
No, and like when they're banned,
this isn't even good fantasy monarchs. This isn't even Daenerys getting a cushion because she's been hearing peasants complain about her dragons burning their children all day. This is not even that. You laugh, but this is literally what happens.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's really fucked up. Like, the Vox Machina's servants are also banned from the Cloud Top district.
No, we know from the backstory video that they were originally banned from the Cloud Top district, period.
Mm-hmm. It's really messed up. Iman's a bad system. We should move the capital to Whitestone, like I've been saying for years.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of what's happening organically.
Uh-huh. And now, if you can look at my chart over here, it's a 100-year timeline of the next 100-year political maneuvers of the continent of Tal'Dorei. And as you can see, it says here that the capital, in both financial and political and cultural norms, is going to be Whitestone.
Whitestone is just going to be the tits because Lady Vexalia decreed it.
Yeah, and also because Iman kind of sucks.
It does, doesn't it?
Kind of sucks. I love it. It's a place that I feel very fondly of, but wow, is it a messed up system.
Maybe burning it down and putting a dragon on top of it wasn't the worst idea.
Yeah, to be honest, it really is very funny how, like, Thordak, I mean, like, Sovereign Uriel was already quitting, but, like, the fact that the monarchy was not able to be reinstated because Thordak destroyed it, I don't know, Fraxis, go off king.
You can't quit because I literally fire you.
No, there will not be a monarchy anymore. I burned it. I ate it.
What do you mean you're stepping down? Not if I burn you first.
Yep. Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess Thordak right, actually? We also have neglected to say that in the process of all this, Sovereign Uriel says a racist thing.
God, I mean, Vex is also acting like he goes to the yelling place and is very unproductive, but then
so is Tiberius.
Sovereign Uriel just... Tiberius always does this, we don't even remark upon it anymore.
Yeah.
Though, no, okay, fun thing about Tiberius, everyone is, like, being very diplomatic and being like, you don't have to take a word for it, and then he's like, no, you should absolutely take your Stormwind's word for it, and that's when Matt snaps.
Yes. You can see Matt snapping in these 2 episodes.
And Matt just goes, okay, everyone is not arrested. We are not talking about this anymore. Fuck you and your name.
Get out of here.
And then he is racist towards Vex.
Yeah. Half-elf. Which I can't say is a Sovereign Uriel speaking through the mind control. It's possible that the Barbans are also racist, but I don't know. I wouldn't disbelieve it.
Racism against elves in this universe feels weird.
It's very weird.
I will say.
Very, very
like,
weird.
It works in settings like Dragon Age where elves are just established to be, you know, lower class servants, slaves living in ghettos.
Yeah, a Jewish analog.
There you get that. Yeah, a Jewish analog, sometimes a Romani people analog gets fluent. Mm-hmm. Also the whole slavery bit, it's very fluent, it's just oppressed underclass. That it makes sense to have slurs for and be racist against. I mean, it makes sense in the sense that
you're doing your thing. It tracks.
It tracks. Here, like, and in most fantasy, elves are kind of like an upper class.
Yes.
In a way.
They're also just,
and, like, well-regarded, longer-lived, fancy, like, the most,
vegan.
The biggest prejudice you have against elves is that they're bitches. Yeah. They're fancy bitches.
They're such fancy bitches. But it feels like a
better part in society. And I'm pretty sure that the original Tal'Dorei campaign setting even says so, that, like, half-elven children with their humanish features, face discrimination in elven society, but in human society they are considered blessings?
Yeah, which doesn't fully make sense based on what we're seeing here. But it is nice.
No, apparently not. And we literally know that Uriel is kind of on good terms with the twins' dad, who is like an ambassador there. Like, this is weird.
It's weird. Anyway, so that goes tits up, and after that they just sort of go home.
All the tits, all the way up. Yeah, they try. They have a tense encounter with Allura, who is, disappointed and heartbroken.
Yeah, sorry, Allura. You have a really bad taste in men. I'm sorry. I feel you, though. It's hard to be bisexual.
Excellent taste in women, very shitty taste in men.
Yeah, don't leave her alone. She's gonna find the worst man in the room.
Also, it's just amazing how completely unconcerned Tiberius is by this.
Yeah, he's just, like, shifted pride. This is, by the way, my theory that, why he's, like, very flirty with Vex in these 2 episodes in particular. Is that
absolutely.
He just, like, was like, well, that part's not working out for me. Let me just shift.
Well, I soft-locked that romance option.
Yes.
Let's pursue this other dialogue tree I haven't started yet.
Yeah, and just sort of assumes that it'll go fine, because he's the main character, and everyone has to like him.
I mean, this is a weird, like, I also figured that, he has decided that as the main character, he needs to have, like, at least another ensemble main character as his girlfriend instead of, like, a side character.
Yeah.
We're in the same vein, Vex decided that.
Yeah, and it's visible that he's sort of playing both cards, essentially, where he's trying to get with Vex, but also maybe seeding some attraction with Keyleth.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pay attention to that, but yeah,
you have a pretty face.
Yeah, no, the drunken bit, right? Oh, Princess Pretty Face, which is a cute name for her, but
yeah, it's gross. That's how these episodes are gross. Sorry, these episodes are gonna be gross.
Yeah. It's just we're in the gross place. We're not leaving it. We're trying to ignore it, but we're not leaving it. We're doing a great job here.
We're
not even halfway done, and it's we're almost already 2 hours in. Yes. These double episodes are a good idea, you guys.
Yes. And while they are at home, nursing their wounds, licking their scars, whatever, they are visited by Riley and Ben Claus. Genuinely such normal names that it caught me off guard. Klaus.
I mean,
not Claus. Klaus.
They also seem extremely modern.
Yes. Riley, Ben. It's so much so that I would almost believe that they're just named after people.
They're not just named after people, they're named after your friends' kids who are starting school this year.
Yep, Riley and Ben.
Klaus, like, are these supposed to be, like, related to Santa Claus?
Maybe, I don't know. But they're farmers, and they're here.
Why is the name German? This is, like, etymologically weird.
I don't know.
German people are over in Wildmount.
Percy Frederickstein von Musil-Kowalski, the role of the third.
Weird people close to Wildmount.
Percy's name has so many different nationalities in it that he may as well have just the name Europe McEurope guy.
Yeah, he is actually Cho Chang with more names.
Yeah, he is. Just Europe-based. He's just white. He's white Cho Chang.
Lopez Schneider, as Sean says in the Harry Potter video.
Yeah. God, Percival Frederickstein from Musil-Kowalski, the role of the third. Or, depending on if he is trying very hard to pronounce it, it's Klosowski.
Red and Klosowski, usually pronounced Kowalski.
Yeah.
I like Kowalski better than Klosowski, but it is what it is.
I'm pretty sure Kowalski is also more accurate.
They're both names.
I like Klosowski, but, it's harder to pronounce, which makes it seem more fancy.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Klosowski is harder to pronounce.
It is hard to pronounce, yes, but I don't think it's more fancy.
Oh, well.
Kowalski. Well. I mean, again, my perception of Polish names is, of course, colored by cultural prejudice, so don't take my word for anything.
I also think that Percy's name is really unique, and that if you look at, like, any component part, you could, like, spend hours staring at it and be like, what is that name, actually? Like, von Musil?
British first name. A British-Germanish patronymic second first name.
Frederickstein. A name that has never been used ever. Frederickstone?
A Dutch last name.
A Dutch last name.
No, wait, von Musil. Von Musil is like The fun is German. Musel is
a can of worms.
Can be part of a slur.
Just a can of worms, that name. Dorolo. Possibly Spanish?
Derolo, that's Dutch. No, Derolo is the Dutch part. The D is... Klosowski Kowalski is Polish. And the third could be referring to his third last name.
He could also be third because I've thought about this, and I was like, what if he's the third because he's third born, and it's completely different.
I mean, they did get rid of Percy the Fourth, so,
Yeah, I don't know. Part of Percy's name is such an unintangible mass that at some point I did actually sit down and think, what if he's called the third because he's the third child? What if he's not even the third Percy?
Yeah, anyways, why are we talking about Sir not appearing in this episode?
Because of names.
Right, Klaus, because Klaus is also a first name, a German one, and it's kind of weird to be named this in this etymologically English place, but hey, whatever.
Yes. Anyway, they are farmers from northern outskirts of Emon, outskirts of Emon, who have come to ask for aid.
Because a giant bird keeps munching their cows.
Yes.
Just whoop. We're not in the cows part of the episode yet, but this is like them giving them a quest, and everybody's being very accommodating. And also this poor, on the verge of being ruined, community can just cough up 512 gold. The
economy is so fucked up. At some point in the next episode, Sherry's going to charge them like 100 gold. Like 100 gold to identify something.
125 for an identify spell that doesn't even take a spell slot if you take 10 minutes.
Which is just like, wow. The economy is really fucked up. The economy is in shambles, huh?
Yeah.
Somebody bought all the fucking mirrors and the economy is in fucking shambles.
All 35 mirrors in the realm. Which is both a big but also small number.
Hyperinflation is a bitch, isn't it? It's a mess. Anyway, I do want to say that they're being accommodating, but they're also being really weird to these people. Like, they tell them that they'll think about it because they're busy right now, and they basically tell them, like, I know that you're on the brink of, like, your cows are being, like, stolen by a giant bird, and you're all very scared about it, but, like, have you considered waiting because we're busy right now? Like, how soon is the harvest season? Like, about how close are you to starving to death?
Cows. The cows are harvested year-round. They give milk every day. They wake up screaming to have their nipples touched, as you put it very eloquently in a different conversation. But also, since it's going to be winter's crest in a few weeks, we are either in the middle of or just past the harvest season. It's
By the way,
it's cold. These are California people. They just don't feel the seasons.
They just don't. Yeah, they don't have seasons anymore. I will also say that I think it's a fun real life fact is that I've heard of multiple murder cases of a certain time period being found. Like a murder scene will be found because the cows are screaming because nobody's touching their nipples.
Oh.
Like, I've heard of multiple cases in which, like, the start to some true crime story will be the neighbors want to check to their house because the cows were screaming and nobody had milked them, and then they found a grisly murder scene.
Wonderful.
So we don't have that anymore. That's a shame. But yeah, they also kind of weirdly extort the Klauses. Like, they're like, oh yeah, we'll do it if you would be so happy to provide us with food from your farm.
I mean, like, Vex is like, we don't want your money, and then Vex is like, we want your food, which,
No, Vex. Vex, this is not the vibe, Vex. Vex, what's wrong with you today?
Vex, can you just buy their food? Maybe get a discount on the food you buy from them, but, like, what?
This is weird. This is weird. You're basically saying, hey, sorry that your cows are being stolen by a big bird. Have you considered what if we stole them instead?
Oh, you mean it's a very delicate balance where you have to feed thousands and thousands upon people based on your farming income. How about we take away from that farming income?
Vex is having an off day. This is a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, and then everyone is very eager to okay, we have accepted the quest, we will do it later. Now we're going to go down and talk to the main quest NPC. Except for Tiberius, who wants to do errands.
So many errands.
And then we're in a break that has a few ads for, Group Hug and an MMO show with Orion that is going to be so cancelled in a few weeks.
So cancelled. It's just...
We get to see how they show where they made Trinket's armor.
Yeah. You said that you had opinions about this.
Yeah. Just a rapid cut of all the other stuff they're doing, and if you, except for the comparatively high amount of women in POC in those ads, some of these Geek and Sundry shows just look like skits they would do on The Big Bang Theory.
Elaborate on that.
Do I have to?
I
don't like it.
You don't have to elaborate on that. It's fine. I think it's self-explanatory.
Maybe it's just the way the ads are cut, which are going to get so much better once Marisha takes over. Oh my god.
So good. Yeah, Marisha's such a good creative director.
But 90% of what I see of Geek and Sundry stuff in these ads is oh god, cringe. Oh god, cringe.
And I know. Kill the part of you that cringes, not the part of you that's cringe.
Yeah, I'd love to. But it cringes really hard, you know?
It's so hard sometimes. Especially in this episode. It's not giving you very much to work with.
That too. So, I mean, the people look like they had fun there, and I don't think there's been, a giant-ass document of abuses leaked about what Geek and Sundry did with these people, so that's good.
That's good. Not yet, anyway.
It makes them better than most internet content producer companies, doesn't it?
We're looking at you, College Humor, that guy with the glasses, so on, so forth.
Just keep on naming them. So, no shade on that regard, but boy, does the content look unappealing.
So unappealing.
To me. To my personal preferences.
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of these things would be very fun to do, but not necessarily fun to watch.
Yeah! Yeah, probably.
And we go back to our hole in the wall for nothing. There's nothing. There's nobody there.
Yep. Travis jumps into the hole a few times, but other than that...
Yeah, other than that, it's very fitting for this episode. There's nothing there. And then we come back.
Everyone takes, especially Vex leads the charge on taking very good care of the prisoner, which they just remembered they have.
Oh yeah!
So he gets unmanacled, he gets a bed, he gets food, he gets a chamber pot, he gets interrogated, and gives this really heart-wrenching account of how bad conditions are under the Briarwoods, but also, how, the first time somebody helped him was also the Briarwoods, who dealt with a problem they themselves caused.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure they actually killed Tyleri.
No, I'm pretty sure we see Tyleri again, don't we?
Yes, I think that was sort of like a fake out, or maybe they turned him into a vampire.
Yeah, something. So it's a really, really affecting story he tells.
Yes.
Would be great if he could have saved that for the trial that we're never going to have, but yeah, no, heavy stuff. Heavy stuff.
So it's a really good monologue from Matt. I also like the part immediately after where we're told, I do love, the thing about Percy that I love so much, right, even when he's not here, is that Percy does stuff and then faces repercussion for it. Then the repercussion is not necessarily, punitive, but it is real and emotionally very resonant. He did shoot a teen in the hand, and or maybe a young adult, I think he's in his 20s, and that person is afraid of him forever. Never not afraid of him. Yeah, for good reason.
Nobody's even trying to argue against it. Percy does this fucked up thing, and we get to see that even after Percy also saves this guy's life from the invisible stalkers next episode, he is still fucking afraid of him. Yeah. Which, he should be.
Which, as far as I know, that guy's just afraid of him forever. That's not gonna change. So it's just something I like about Percy.
I really want to know what Desmond is up to these days.
I think
did he stay... Is he in Whitestone now?
I mean, he may as well stay in Whitestone. What are his other options? Go to fucking Stoben? He's gonna move to Stelben.
Yeah, I mean, in Whitestone, he can just be like, he can just wave his hand in the direction of the castle and get money.
Yeah.
Or whatever else he wants.
I hope he's just, like, a painter or something. He, like, makes violins now, and, like, has nothing, you know, just living his life, and gets money occasionally from the Derolo estate.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I also will say that I don't think any other character who does questionable shit to people like this ever faces the same amount of consequences. Like, Vax goes on to practically still be worshipped by Kynan, doesn't he? Well, I mean, Kynan also kind of kills Keels, but hey, tries. Hey. But, you know, other than that...
Oh, speaking of weird names, and this is jumping forward a little bit, but when they go to the farm, there's a neighbor boy called Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle!
Kyle! You know Kyle. Kyle from She-Ra.
Yeah, he seems I just see Kyle from She-Ra here, even though that's anachronistic.
Anyway, sorry. I jumped ahead.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else happening here. They have this very affecting conversation with Desmond, and then they...
Yeah, I want to...
Jared!
Props to Travis here. Grog's actually very sweet and very nice in this conversation.
Yes!
He's very nice.
Yes. I mean, later on he just offers to, like, be the bunkmate of Desmond to keep him safe from Percy and also other invisible stalkers.
Yeah. Also, I don't know, I found it really affecting, I guess, when he gave Desmond, like, a cup of ale and, like, takes a little sip to show him that it's not poison. And then he, like, doesn't force him to drink or anything, he just, like, puts it next to him and is like, you know, when you're ready. It's very nice. Mm-hmm. It's very nice.
I have the theory that fan reaction at the time also said that was very nice, which is why Tiberius gives Desmond a sandwich next episode.
Yeah, sure. That follows. But before they head out, they have some errands to run, such as getting Jared to make sure both Desmond is safe and Percy is safe, and that they do not hurt themselves or each other.
Yeah, so they position Jared in this hallway, who is not really quite clear what he's supposed to be doing, but, I mean, he's down for anything, as Vex says next episode.
Mm-hmm. He's down.
Also little racist towards Scanlan.
Yeah. Not as violently as... It's just...
No.
Gnomes.
Gnomes. Like, sure.
Sure, Jared.
They also, in the words of Percy next episode, leave a bear on suicide watch.
Yeah, Trinket is out here, and if you need anything at all, you come out and you pet him.
Which I think is a solid offer.
It's a very solid offer. Trinket's a very good listener. And Percy really likes Trinket, and Trinket really likes Percy. It's nice.
Fanfic recommendation.
Fanfic recommendation.
But a civilized discussion, I believe it was called. Percy talking to Trinket. Though I like the chapter where Vex talks to Trinket better.
Yeah, they're both really good chapters now. I also like...
They're both excellent fanfiction.
I also like how insistent real-life Taliesin is about how Percy and Trinket get along. Like, I think there's a reason when he's like, no, we've always gotten along. Percy and Trinket have always gotten along. So yeah, there we go. Stepson.
Yeah, also I think, like, Percy's and Trinket's relationship is very much like how you describe your dad's and his dog's relationship.
Yeah.
Or at least their way of communicating.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Just having very serious discussions. How was your day? Have you taken care of the house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've also figured, by the way, fun fact is I've started, in the way that when you age, you realize that you are becoming your parents. I realize that I do the thing that my dad does every day, where every time he leaves the dog alone, he'll tell the dog, take care of the house. And I say this to my cat every morning now.
Well, I mean, why not? What else are you supposed to say?
Take care of the house.
Hold on the fort.
It's all on you, Olive. Anyway, so they go to a cow farm.
Yeah, we go out from the consequences part and go to the cows part.
Everybody's in need of a good filler episode.
Yep. I mean, they talk to Kyle. Kyle is like, yeah, big bird. Sure. And then we are very quick to be like, here's my plan. We're all cows.
Yes. You can very much tell they need to unpack some. They need to have the sillies right now, because this is the first plan they go through, and they immediately were like, no, it won't work. Maybe some of us will be cows, maybe the rest of us won't be cows, and then they just go, fuck it. Let's be cows.
We're just all cows. We're our own bait. It's not even a bad plan.
No, it's not. It's just a very silly plan.
It's very silly. I love the exchange when, like, Vex is like, you know, there's definitely a cow. I don't mean it that way. You're very lovely.
Yeah, and Keyleth says she doesn't take it as an insult. She's fine with it. She prefers it to the comment. I think she literally says, I prefer it to the thing your brother said earlier today.
Yeah. It's fine. What Vex said was way worse anyway. Like, woof! Totally earned.
Yep.
Woof.
Yeah, I would say if any episode convinces me on Vex left, by the way, it's this episode.
Yeah, because when everybody's down on Keyleth, Vex is there to be like, no, she's right. What are you doing? She's right.
Yeah. You can very much tell this is, like, the fires of Keyleth's crush on Vex are being stoked. You're mean to me, you're nice to me, what's happening?
Yeah. And it's just... They just try to blend in with the cows very hard. It's this... Somebody asked for where the alpha male is of a herd of cows.
Yeah,
and Matt has to explain very calmly, there are no males in this pen. Because they're cows.
There's also no alpha. Because they're cows.
There's no alpha cow, and there's no alphas in general.
That's not a thing. You made that up. It's fiction. It doesn't happen. Yeah.
It doesn't happen, and especially not with cows. It's like, God, you remember this Tumblr post where somebody is like, yes, I always wanted to know what the cows are called who made my yogurt. And then it's just a list of, like, cow names, and then somebody else was like, oh yeah, typical. Only female names for the subservient animal. And like...
Yeah.
My dude, my guy.
You don't want bull milk. I promise you.
You do not want to eat yogurt from bulls.
You don't want it. You don't want to know what they milk from bulls. I've already told Jana an alarming amount of things about bulls.
Yes, which is why we move on to Matt's cow face.
It's great. I love it when like, Keyleth, essentially, they're all seeming to look like cows, but they're not actually cows. But Keyleth also casts Speak with Animals to talk with the cows, to interview them.
Uh-huh.
And here's the thing. They're cows. They don't know that much about the thing.
But they do know that the thing comes, and it comes at night, and it takes them, and they have, herded themselves under shelter to keep safe.
Very smart of them. At this point, Grog destroys his teeth with silica.
Yep. Do not eat grass.
Yeah, he's eating grass, he's chewing grass, despite the fact that, again, he's not a cow. He's just made to look like a cow.
Yeah, whatever. These cows are so heartbreaking. Like, Jesus Christ.
Especially because, I was thinking about this too, because, like, at the end of the episode, they do, take some of the
sacrifice 2 cows.
Yeah, and, like, you do remember that they talked to these cows before, and these cows were very sad.
Yeah.
And didn't want to die. I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes you feel weird things about meat, I think. Makes you think, is what it is.
Yep. I think the whole meat industry would be a lot less prevalent if the meat talked to us first.
Yes it would. But anyway, Keyleth makes herself available.
She looks like a wonderfully available cow, and it works.
It works. The Rock swoops down out of nowhere, grabs Keyleth, and just sort of goes with her.
Yeah, at some point, like, Scanlan, teleports on top of the Rock, so, like, a tiny cow is on the bird. And everyone else gets...
calf.
Yeah.
Everyone else is floating slowly after it. At some point, Vax, still seeming to look like a cow, is floating after it, and he activates his boosts of haste, so he's hasted, but he can't move any faster because the flight speed is not a thing that is modified by haste, which makes sense.
Yeah, because it's also not, like, something his body does, it's something Tiberius cast on him. Mm-hmm. Later on, when, like, his armor magically melded with his body grows wings, the haste the haste effect is applied to that. So I think this makes sense.
Yeah. So he's just sort of floating after the Rock as a cow, while, hasted.
His metabolism goes brrr.
Yeah, his heart's beating very fast, and the only thing I could think of was like, again, I'm still pretty sick, and I think I had a fever then, but I was just like, this whole thing feels very ska music to me. There's something very ska as a vibe about a cow having, like, a panic attack, floating after a giant bird.
The cow with an adrenaline rush.
Uh-huh.
That is entirely unrelated to the fact that it was flying after a predator.
Just unrelated. I don't know, it's like that one Tumblr post that's like, ska music sounds like the inside of a 12-year-old boy's brain when he's allowed to have extra mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, so there's one, at some point, Keyleth turns the rock into a cow, and they all plummet.
Because they have one solution.
At this point, yes. Mm-hmm. They will eventually grow out of polymorph solutions, but for the time being, they have this one solution.
And they have cows on the brain.
Scanlan says the very telling line, "Don't worry about me, you never need to worry about me," which,
Cool. Don't think about that.
Oof. Mm-hmm. The twins establish that their cow forms look identical.
Which is very cute. I love that they have cow sonas.
Yes. Oh god, they do.
And the rock, after turning into a cow, impacts on the forest floor and then flies off, visibly hurt, but not fatally. And because Vex has
Hunter's mark, yeah.
Hunter's mark on it, they're able to track it back to its nest.
Yeah, and in the nest they find the rock, and well, this sounds like another just the chicken and the nest and the egg and whatever. We've been there before. And they find the rock and also a druid guarding it.
Yeah, they also have a very fun thing where they think for a second that the rock has little babies in it, because Matt doesn't immediately say what the other shape is. He's just like, there's a shape in there. And to which Vex says they're going to kill the rock and steal the babies, which somehow it feels like Vex isn't super cool with.
Oh. Yeah, weird.
Anyway, there's a gnome druid in there.
There's a gnome druid with an axe to grind against civilization.
His name is Byron.
Sure. Yeah. Is he a Byronic hero?
He kind of is. He's definitely brooding.
Yeah, even though it's not very sensical.
No.
Okay, so essentially, the ethical conundrum here is basically the food chain. Yeah. The druid doesn't like civilization, he likes for big monsters to eat. Big monsters eat, for some reason, exclusively cows that civilization needs to survive.
Yeah, which again doesn't fully make sense, because,
if we go by the laws of the food chain and the wilderness, if you steal food and then the owners of the food come back to kill you for it, that's just how this works. That's how the food chain goes on.
It is also interesting that he's and I generally I kind of agree with some of the stuff that he says. Not a lot of it.
Sure.
I think that I think the part where he says that basically, this isn't the first, place I've been to is pretty, it's yeah, that's true. I can imagine that.
Of course. The rock's mom was killed in her natural habitat by other predators there. That's also just part of the food chain. Yeah. Sucks, but it's how it goes.
I would say that I think this is one of the few things that is, enhanced by real-world knowledge. It's just that this sort of made me, think about, how vulture populations worldwide are, plummeting, and that always makes me sad. I really like vultures. And mostly they're killed because of poisonings. People will poison cattle. And intentionally do that, and it sucks. But anyway.
Oh.
And anyway.
Yeah, that sucks.
It sucks.
They could have done this to their cows here and gotten rid of the problem, I guess.
Yeah, but
they didn't.
Though I will critique one thing that he says, a couple things that he says. Number one is, he doesn't like that humans farm cattle because they're, they only live to be slaughtered and they're not fulfilled, but he doesn't have any issue with his rock hunting the cows.
Yeah, apparently so. That's just fine. How worthless are these cows when they're the one thing sustaining your bird?
Yeah, that doesn't track. It's also sad because, Keyleth is making really good points.
Yes, she is making excellent points. She's doing the mostest. She's going so hard here.
Yeah, she feeds the raw good berries and gets her hand chopped.
The bird feeding scene is so fucking badass, and nobody ever talks about it because it's just, Keyleth is talking, cringe.
Yeah, and it's
literally how the chat goes.
It's badass in, a soft way, which I really love. Because the badass thing isn't that just that, she's getting her hand crushed and isn't, making a peep, but it's also just, it's a show of, It's a show of kindness.
Commitment.
Commitment.
Kindness and commitment to the cause here.
Yeah.
And just they were trying to make a point here of something with this druid, but You reject civilization, but you take from civilization to sustain yourself, which, like, I kind of feel like the person criticizing you for tweeting this from an iPhone, but also, like, my dude, my guy.
My dude, my guy.
Your rock is also apparently relying at hunting prey that has literally no natural defenses here.
I think the difference between...
So by your own logic...
Yeah, I think the difference here is not that, like, person on tweeting from an iPhone thing, like the I hope society can be improved somewhat, is that the whole point of that one is, like, when you are living in a society, it is okay to critique that society despite the fact that you are living off of it. Like, that is fine. But I think what he's doing is essentially he's, like, critiquing society and insisting that he's not a part of it and that he wants no part of society while he benefits from society.
Yeah, because it's easy prey for his rock.
Yeah. And like, sorry, my dude, you are in the social contract.
Well, you're violating the social you're, like, throwing stones at the people in the social contract.
Yeah, you can insist
pretty much.
Day as long that you're not in the social contract, but as soon as you're, you know, benefiting...
You kind of exploit it.
Yeah.
You're kind of here exploiting it. And, like, even if you take issue with farming practices, even as medieval as they were here, which are still nowhere close to being as unethical as it is today. These cows, this farming community, is an essential part in getting thousands of people fed. Thousands of people. Populations you cannot sustain by just scavenging off the land. We developed farming to sustain populations like this. You cannot go away from this source of food without also condemning thousands of people to starvation.
Also,
which is an eco-fascism! Whoa!
Yeah, eco-fascism. I will also say this. If the entirety of Amon did the hunting practices that he seems to want them to do, of just, like, going into the wilderness and killing deer, there wouldn't be any deer
left.
There's
nothing to hunt! There's no more deers! That's why there's poaching laws, sort of. Also because people wanted to make money out of it, but... That's why we have laws today on when you are allowed to shoot how many deer. So this population keeps sustaining itself.
Yeah, so, like, sorry dude, this is, like... But anyway...
You just... literally don't understand what you are rebelling against here. Didn't know.
Yes, but I do like your bird, and I do think you deserve to live. And
you and your bird deserve to live. Maybe where your existence doesn't condemn thousands of people to lose their source of food. Yeah, and there's a couple moments here that I really like, and I wanted to point them out. Number one, I actually thought Scanlon's thing was really cool. Yeah.
It's a genuinely very chilling line. He switches onto Gnomish so that only he and the Byron can understand each other. And what he says is, you're here because you found, like, a place with no big predators for your rock. You're looking at a group of large predators, and you don't want to stay here.
Yeah, and he's also correct in that they are only the first ones, and they're willing to negotiate because they're having a very bad day, and also Keyleth has principles.
Yes.
If he keeps this up, the kingdom will eventually notice, oh wow, we're running out of food here because you keep taking our livestock, and then they will keep sending soldiers and mercenaries to get rid of the problem again and again and again.
And they're not going to be nice. They're not going to want to negotiate.
Nope.
When they're trying to find a place to put the rock, they throw out a bunch of, like, pretty bad ideas, I'm not going to lie.
Just go to Whitestone, eat some vampire meat. What's the worst that could happen?
And also their first solution was just, like, go a couple miles out, which is just, like, that's not gonna do anything. And then, like, go to Whitestone, which is, Tiberius, that's the stupidest thing you've ever said. And that is saying something.
Sure is. We didn't even talk about drunk Tiberius. Huh.
I don't fucking want to talk about Tiberius.
Okay.
Just the fact that Keyleth almost shoves him off a roof, and she should have.
She should have. She should have shoved him and Vex off a roof.
Yes, both of them.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that as Scanlon makes a really good point. Scanlon is really good at this persuasion bit. I kind of wish it wouldn't have been necessary.
I agree completely.
I kind of wish we wouldn't have needed his 32 persuasion roll. I kind of think Keyleth should have gotten this win.
And also, like, she didn't roll that badly.
No! Keyleth did the mostest. She was doing so good. She should have gotten this win, Matthew.
Which makes me sad, because I think that genuinely the way that this happened discouraged her from doing more things like this.
That or the chat reaction.
Yeah, which sucks. It just sucks. Because it's such a cool thing, and this episode does not have a lot of high points, but this part is a high point.
Yeah, like, people will talk about the, they're all cows, wacky adventure bit, but not about the actual cool moment afterwards. Yeah. I mean, the cows are fun, don't get me wrong.
They're also
fun,
relatively short,
fine.
They don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah, this is a filler episode anyways. Why are there's a reason we are spending so much time talking about this one.
I just want to say this. Vex is actually the person to bring up the idea of sending the rock to Vasselheim, and it's a really good idea.
Look, Vasselheim, but like the timberlands around, which are full of big monsters, and also like predators and prey and stuff, where you can authentically be part of the food chain and not bother civilization much.
Yeah, and you can literally say, hey, this particular rock here, because it is a protected species, cannot have a contract taken out on it. And apparently that's completely within the Sage State's purview, because we know that that's part of Ioun's interest, is keeping the balance.
Yeah, and it just works. This actually is a thing they did that works out well.
Yeah, it doesn't always work, but part works.
W across the board.
Yes.
A final touch is when they negotiate terms for the rogue to relocate and agree to give it 2 more cows.
Yeah.
Which, horrifying after you've talked to them.
Horrifying.
But also Vex is, like, perfectly willing to pay for the cows, and Matt is surprised by that, and like, yeah, no, Vex is here and willing to spend money for good things.
Vex didn't want to get paid.
Vex turned down 500 gold for this.
Yes. Yes, she did.
And
this
even
is not a
still
surprise.
paid for the cows. Like, wow. Like, people, pay attention. Pay fucking attention.
Except
don't.
Don't,
because we're at the next episode now.
Yeah, do you want to rate this one before we continue?
And now we get to the second part of this delightful double feature, which is called The Road to Whitestone. That's a road we are sure not getting on anytime soon, though.
Yeah. But I will say that we start off with a pretty good start.
Yes, we start off with a high point. Mm-hmm. Like a legitimate high point, we get this horrifying nightmare of Percy's.
Seeing his family getting slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
Being told by a voice to seek vengeance.
That he's already kind of built himself. That's a little confused, that part, but yeah.
I will say that the one part of this episode that's very I'm fond of is sort of like the slow, like sudden introduction of Orthax as a thing, where it's just...
Yes.
It's no longer hidden that Percy is talking to something, and something is talking to Percy. But we're
very much getting it. He's hiding it, but we know. Mm-hmm. We don't know what it is. Or the terms and conditions. Nobody knows the terms and conditions. Which I have access to grind about, but hey, whatever.
We'll grind them later.
Way later. And then Percy wakes up from his nightmare, decides like maybe he has been down here for too long, goes out on the floor, on the hallway, and sees Jared getting kinky with something invisible.
Doing some not auto, but appears to be autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yep, something like that. And we are in combat immediately, the high point of the episode.
Yes, things are just... woof, all trinkets here, Jared's here, the party's still on their way home, so they don't know this is happening, but they're being attacked by something invisible.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little fun exchange where Laura's like, but Trinket was down there! And then Sam's like, was...
They're dead.
But Trinket is fine. Trinket is alive and well, and he hits the air effectively a few times. It's also like a really fun moment where they are talking about Trinket's armor class, and Sam's like, Trinket has armor? And it's like, yes, my dude, my guy.
Look behind you.
First of all, it was a plot point. And second of all, turn around!
Yes! Yeah, that he's right there wearing his armor. What did you think that was?
They're right there. Yeah. At some point, we're not going to have a dedicated Ryan's Complaints Corner. Well, technically this episode is it. This is just the episode. At some point, Orion is like, by the way, Matthew, I have no idea what we're fighting. I'm just saying, I haven't metagamed. And like, what do you want? A medal?
Yeah.
You don't even know what this is yet. This is invisible, has been on the board for 2 minutes. And I mean, bless you for not being brazenly enough to have your own monster manual to look information up in real time during combat.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I don't know how to tell you that nobody else is metagaming either.
Yeah. Oh god, I have something to yell about way later in this episode. Way later.
But yeah, Taliesin is very energized. He has not participated in the last episode, so he's fresh and ready to go.
Yep. He is so into this. This is also where he says a thing about thank you for leaving a bear on suicide watch.
Yeah.
Which, like, come on, dude.
I mean, it is. It is a bear on suicide watch.
But also on murder-suicide watch. But I mean, has anyone suicided? I don't think so.
There's at some point, Taliesin makes a joke about how when he came out and he saw Jared choking for a second, he thought Jared was hanging himself. And that is just a very funny thing, is the thought of Jared being so overcome by the depressive energy of Desmond and Percy that he wants to just end it all. It's very darkly funny.
It is. Darkly funny in a way that would get us kicked off of TikTok. Should we be, like, talking in code?
Yeah, it's fine. We're a non-censored show.
That's true.
We have no one to account for but ourselves.
Yep. And the 30 people watching each episode.
Yes.
Love you. Love y'all. Yeah, also, these invisible stalkers are kind of technically, they are immune to any and all conditions, but Matt only remembers this halfway through the combat, which is a good thing, because Percy's been inflicting conditions to keep them from keeping Jared, so Jared could keep protecting Desmond. It's, and like, buying some time until everybody else gets here.
Yeah.
To help.
At which point everything kind of resolved pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, they keep calling these things wraiths, which had me, like, wondering, like, was I misremembering this? And no, I wasn't. Invisible stalkers.
Yes, they are not wraiths.
They are not. One of my favorite moments is when when I think, the small one, the pepperbox misfires, and then everyone just, like, they do, like, a collective,
yeah. At some point, Keyleth does it, and I think this is the first one. And also Sam gets to do with his voice director thing, where he's like, okay, I want, like, 3, like, you know, we want close quarters, ricochet, bullets. Go. And at some point, like, they do something, they start, and actually they realize that the bullet did actually hit, so, Merja has to take back her ricochet. It's fun, it's cute.
Yeah, that's a fun moment. Also, a really cool, good thought by Grog is how he breaks, like, a vial of holy oil in his fist.
Yeah.
To deal holy damage, which is a really badass moment. Really cool. Does nothing.
It does nothing, but his fists are magical weapons.
God, there was, like, a trash TV show on German television, which was called, like, weird name, The Fist of God. Let me Google this really quick. Lasko, Die Faust Gottes.
Wow.
And apparently it's a novel? Fascinating. Did not know that. Only know about the slightly trashy television series that I also haven't watched, but it was advertised very aggressively.
Anyway. We have to keep going. It's late.
We do. There's not much. This happens, and then the episode is kind of done.
Yes. Some episode resolves very quickly. So.
Yes. So they fight these things, they make some more security, things happen.
They kind of have a moment with Desmond where they're like, hey look! You're alive still, isn't that cool?
Which, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure, hooray. The prisoner didn't die in your custody. Congratulations.
Yeah. I guess it's more than you can say for anyone else who's escaped from the Briarwoods. He's not dead.
So far.
It's him and Percy. Got that in common.
And then we go into the first agonizing bit, which is the planning.
Yeah. Basically, the thing is that they don't know if they should try to stay here and, like, prove their innocence, or go to Whitestone and pursue, finding evidence there. And, I don't know, it just feels like such an obvious choice.
Seeker Assume shows up and tells them all about, I'm not mind control anymore, but Uriel totally is. And then they just have this circular conversation. about what is the right approach. They're not even, like, to be fair, the terms were very uncertain on whether what accounts as fleeing, what accounts as just leaving but chill. They are correct in that telling the council, like, oh yeah, we are not fleeing, we're just casually going over to Whitestone to attack the people you want to protect some more.
Yeah.
That's not gonna go over well.
Vex leaves a note,
Grog
it's fine. It's fine, she left a note.
Grog makes the point that we can just lie about where we're going, and technically they do end up going to Westrone first. Yep. Which is suspiciously close, but they could just have business there, they could just be visiting Gilmore, whatever.
Yeah,
Assume,
fine.
Meanwhile, feels his quest log is a little empty and wants to go to Wildmount to dig in, like, the Briarwood's backstories.
Which is, I mean, it's a reasonable choice if you know that, like, every spy that he sent to Whitestone has never come back.
Yeah, sure.
Which is, again, I love Assume. Assume's actually a genuine NPC that I have so many fond feelings about, but he's a very shady character, and to me this very much feels like him hedging his bets of, like, I'll send Vox Machina to Whitestone, and I'm just going to go to Western so that one way or another we'll have evidence, which is what he basically says. Wildmount, sorry. Which is basically what he says.
Many W's.
Well, many W's. Well, he basically tells them, like, even if you were to die there, I can still, like, deliver evidence and they'll still know what's up. But it's like...
solid plan.
But very solid plan, but also knowing that he did send, like, multiple people to Whitestone and they never came back, it's just sort of a, you don't have very high hopes about this, don't you? Don't you Assume?
Is he really going to collect evidence, or is he just trying to be out of the splash zone?
Who can say? Possibly, killing two birds with Whitestone. What? Sorry.
With one Whitestone.
That was a fun flip.
Yeah. So, and, like, it is true, like, they are not going to get a fair trial here. It's just not gonna happen. Any attempt to cure Uriel's mind-afflictedness is going to end poorly and horribly. They're not good at infiltration missions. It's also just not gonna happen. No. What is going to end the mind control on Uriel is killing the people who did it.
Which is
over in Whitestone.
Yeah. Matt's sort of trying to... I feel like he's kind of trying to suggest them to go to Whitestone already, because he's just, like, kind of...
He literally told them that they are free to leave, just not to flee.
Yes. He's just like, nod. Yes, it would be very brash and very bold of you to go to Whitestone and kill the Briarwoods. Wouldn't that be fun?
Wouldn't that be fun? So, like, they talk in circles a little bit, and Vex then, essentially is like, okay, so we wait for Assume to do his thing, use his evidence in trial against us, then use the backing of the council to go to Whitestone and kill the Briarwoods there, which is a convoluted plan with many ifs and very inactive and very much not what was intended, and it's also not her best plan, which makes what happens next even worse somehow. Is this worth it? Is this worth it?
I mean, woof. Yeah.
Woof.
And it's just... you could say, it's just woof.
So Orion then he actually goes into some anatomical detail of where this is happening, but he kind of describes Tiberius getting an erection from Vex being smart, but she's not even being that smart. And he describes where it is, it's like internal, because anatomy, and Taliesin says that's weird. Liam says, like, something gross. Matt is like, what? Travis goes very silent, very menacingly. Laura hits her head on the table. Marisha just goes like, And Sam just looks, And he doubles down twice.
Nobody likes this. And you
can see the disapproval signs from the Sims games above everyone's heads with 2 red subtraction signs. They gave him options to walk this back.
So many.
No, he very insistently tells the camera directly that this is cool because he's being attracted by her intelligence, and...
It's just gross. It's bad. Nobody likes this. In the ways in which it is natural to compare and contrast Percy to Tiberius, I am reminded of that time that,
Verbal praise. Verbal praise does it.
Yeah. I don't know. You remember that time in happier days when before they've gotten together, but after Vex confessed, where Vex is, like, planning, and Percy's just, like, enraptured by it.
For good reason. That was a really fucking good plan, and the only Vox Machina plan that ever worked out the way they intended.
Yes, and he's just brash. I like it. Like, yeah, it turns out you can actually do that and not be creepy.
We don't need to know about your pants feelings here.
No, especially not with Percy, because we already know. We don't need to hear them. We get it. There's context clues.
I think the better comparison here, to compare and contrast, is actually when Scanlan makes similar comments and jokes, but okay, like, here's the thing.
The table's comfortable with that.
Scanlan is barely a step above a joke character at this point.
Yes.
We know from Ashley, actually, that he kind of asked if it's okay to do these kind of jokes, and since Ashley and also Pike are kind of weird, she's cool with it.
Yes.
We don't always think these jokes are funny, but the table and the audience are aware that these are jokes. They are delivered in a lighthearted manner, and usually at Scanlan's expense. We're laughing at him and stuff. What makes this different, and this is important, context matters, is that when Orion does it, he does it with an intensity, with, like, an...
It just doesn't have it doesn't feel safe, is what it is. It doesn't feel like this was okayed socially by the group.
This doesn't feel safe, this feels... The intensity is wrong, the intensity makes us creepy.
Yes.
Which is how the same comment by different kinds of guys can come off threatening one way and kind of funny and non-threatening the other way. Context matters, delivery matters, and in this case, the table being okay with one character doing it but not another also matters. This is like a matter of consent.
Yeah, consent at the table is important.
Yeah, reading the room was important, and this is something like... This isn't exclusive to this scenario.
No.
We've pointed this out many other times, and this will continue to happen this episode, is that Orion is so completely and entirely incapable of reading the mood.
Yeah.
That he just makes it worse whenever he doesn't even notice he keeps making it worse. That's what also happens with his endless list of errands. He doesn't, we can see that Travis is very close to committing a crime live on camera.
So close, and it doesn't even necessarily feel like... I feel like some people can be very much, how dare you, make a move on my woman about this, and that's
not... Nope. Travis was actually looking just, quiet and, weirded out, but the people who jumped in there were Matt, Liam, and Taliesin.
Who are just not comfortable. Yeah, no. This is not... No.
Travis is, quiet about this part.
Travis,
yeah. He didn't like it, but not for the reason of how dare you make a fictional move on my woman, but for the, gross dude. And also holding up gameplay and just being generally uncomfortable. He's not, playing the protective husband here. When he gets more and more closer to violence throughout this episode, it's just genuinely because he's having a very bad time.
Yeah, he's just having a very bad time.
Unrelated to, Laura doesn't seem to be that affected by it anyways.
No.
Just kind of grossed out and moving on. Which is not an excuse for anything.
No.
But that's,
But,
being
a woman in society often means... Mm-hmm. I feel like this is something that, I feel sometimes can be quite shocking to men. It's, to have, a weird, and to see, a weird, uncomfortable sexual thing happen to a woman they know, and there's a moment of just oh, this is real, this happens to people. Whereas, I feel
and also you kind of develop a strategy of just droning with the punches.
Yeah, especially, just, living...
You kind of have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I would say that this is strange and it's weird and it's uncomfortable, but I would not be surprised, and I don't want to assume anything about Laura Bailey's life, but this is probably not the first time this has happened to her, because she's, a woman in society.
In video games.
Yeah, in video games.
In 2015!
Yeah. And, yeah, it happens. Sometimes you're just in an uncomfortable situation, and the best thing to do is just to diffuse it and handle that later in your private time.
And just make a joke about it.
Mm-hmm.
Laugh. Be nice. Steer the conversation elsewhere.
Yeah, it's why...
Those are coping mechanisms. We have them.
Yeah, it's why when people talk about... later about, oh, how could you be uncomfortable with that joke? You laughed when I said it. It's yeah, that's not necessarily... all the story that's happening, okay?
Yeah, we laugh at these jokes because we are scared of what happens if we don't.
Yes. Anyway.
Which Same with, like, being polite to people or saying no or something. We laugh and we are nice because we are afraid of what happens if we don't behave in a comforting way.
Yeah.
Which is why people who are less at the risk of having violence committed upon them are, like, it's their job to speak out in these situations. Like, by the way, I mean, I don't think anyone was going to commit violence on Laura Bailey in this. Like, just pointing that out. That's not what I'm saying here. It's just that the dynamic of the situation is like, yeah, see, been there, done that. In more threatening situations, but in, like, even at this low stakes, the fact that it was 3 guys who have no weird patriarchal claim on their wife or something were the ones speaking out was like, this is how you do it, guys. This is how you do it.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Wasn't that a fun conversation about lots of bullshit?
Yeah, such a fun episode this is. Keith does
this entire episode is a trigger warning.
Yeah. Throughout this, essentially, sort of concurrently, Keith has made, like, an armband for, like, a wooden armband.
Yes, that's
Assume.
cute.
And Assume, despite his like, initial, like, thing, agrees to have it placed on him, and this allows her to scry on him when she'd like.
Yeah,
I think that
and she rolls a 21 persuasion. It's very cute.
Yes, I think that ultimately Assume likes Vox Machina, and also this moment made me kind of, like, consider a crack ship that I'd never thought I'd ever consider, which is Keyleth and Assume.
You know what crack ship this episode made me consider?
What?
Jared and Desmond.
Wow, you're not wrong.
He keeps a close eye on him. Eyebrow waggle, eyebrow waggle, eyebrow waggle.
He does not leave his side. Step strong, man, here to protect him.
So they're just hanging out at Whitestone together, just 2 dudes being guys.
Just 2 dudes being guys, just 2 guys being dudes.
2 guys being dudes.
Take your pants off.
Right now?
No. No, I'm not saying that it happened.
Come over here and make me.
I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I'm not saying that it did happen either.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, that. The ultimate choice, by the way, to go to Whitestone is made by Percy? Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a little voice in his head egging him to go and take his vengeance, but he... Vengeance. But I feel like this is a very inefficient kind of corruption arc, in the sense, because sometimes killing the people who want to break reality and also killed a bunch of people first is just the morally correct thing to do, especially when there's not like a state to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like, the monopoly of violence is, like, currently I'm being charmed by the people who did this, so, who doesn't even have jurisdiction where they are.
No.
So sometimes, going in to kill some killers is just the morally right thing to do. Sometimes. So this is why this whole, you were corrupted into doing vengeance, is like, did he need a lot of corrupting here?
No. No, the vengeance is very much like mutualism. To be spurred
into action. Like, he says himself that originally maybe he would have just passively walked away from this.
Yeah.
So he needs some inciting incident, but, like, the decision to liberate his hometown isn't really something you need a demon to justify to yourself for, huh?
No. But also, it's just, I think it is very interesting the ways in which, like, Arthax can be very invisible in times because... Yeah, his desires overlap with Percy's.
That's and also, which is what is the right call in this situation.
Yeah, it's to go and kill the fucking Briarwoods.
And it's also not how Percy, like, justifies it. Like, this is also fascinating. He has his little voice, but he also still makes a rational argument about how, this is literally their only option because they're not going to get any justice from someone who is mind-controlled by these people.
And he's right.
He's right. We saw the council scene in that episode. It's just not happening. Because also the rest of the council is just not speaking out about the logical inconsistencies, because it's kind of also... I mean, they also kind of failed here, so of course they would have to admit to their own failure, which makes this entire situation kind of toxic.
Unfortunately, despite this rousing speech, which it's not really a speech, nor is it rousing, we then don't immediately march on Whitestone. Instead, we spend the rest of the episode... Shopping,
doing errands, getting told no over and over again. Vex gets private lessons with Assume, because she wants to be a sneaky ranger. And then Matt says we're going on a 5-minute breaks, and you all write lists of what you want to do. So we can go through this quickly.
Yeah. And then they don't.
Break! We break, we get shown the same ads from last episode, basically. But our hole in the wall has moved a little bit. Now we can look behind the set wall.
Yes, it's fascinating. I'm feeling all kinds of ways about this in terms of third, fourth walls and things. But yeah, now we've moved a little bit. We can see.
Are we kind of the fifth wall because there's like a wall in the middle?
Yes. I'm worried that eventually one of these is just gonna like pull out, and then there'll just be me, and I'll look at the back of my own head, and I'll have like an existential crisis.
Sure.
I might be having a fever.
You might be. You are also having the Rona right now.
Yes, I am. Considering we've been recording for 3 hours, I'm surprised by how well I'm doing.
Yeah, no, we're doing really, really well. I'm awake.
So they spend the next week starting with Percy making...
Copious Commerce! I wrote these things out. We are going to read them out.
Thank you, Jana. We start off with Percy making a death ray.
Tempting to.
Yeah, Ryan tries to talk him out of it, but Taliesin ultimately decides that it's funnier if he does it.
It fails.
It fails, but they try really hard.
They try really hard. They even bring in the mending wheel that once again does nothing.
Does nothing. Nothing at all. Eventually they just sort of realize that as it heats, it's sort of like melting in the copper housing, and so they just go, it's a wash. He'll reuse the thing, and it's fine. I mean, it's a shame that they spend so much time and money doing this, but it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the thing about tinkering. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes Percy tries to do stuff, it doesn't work, and he just moves on.
And then Tiberius goes and buys 35 mirrors about it to make it work, which is, I don't think how this... Like, this is just like a glass lens that amplifies sun rays so you can scorch stuff, right? That's what the Archimedes death ray is, right?
Yeah, but I think Percy's specifically making this sort of like sphere that's like mirrors bouncing off of each other to make the like to concentrate like the effect to essentially make like a laser.
Okay.
Whereas Orion is just sort of making a sheet of mirrors.
Or attempting to. He doesn't get enough. He gets all 35 mirrors in the realm. Before
asking himself, can this work? At which point he's already spent so much money on this.
Shit, he earned so much money. Yeah, Percy makes an ammunition, smoke bomb question mark, and not the death ray.
Yes. At which point
Vex does 4 things, which he's going to be brief about. He, first of all, sets up a storyline that we're going to be seeing repeated later on a lot, where he tries to pursue a religious quest, but is, like, denied by the narrative.
Yes, though this one is not necessarily denied by the narrative so much, it just is denied by the narrative later.
Yeah, it's not, like, it takes longer than the whole, like, wait, you had, like, his arc with Quota Melora for 100 episodes and now want to act on it? Nah. Go, secret library, whoa!
So,
not that.
So that, he
still goes to the Sarenrae temple.
Yeah, he gets things stitched on his gloves, I think.
Yeah, which actually do a thing once.
Yes, just once, though. And he goes to see Tristan. Liam then praises Matt for being able to pull the name Tristan with no hesitation.
Yeah, which, I mean, I found it more impressive that Matt had, like, a guard schedule ready for Grayskull Keep.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I found that more impressive. Like, him remembering Tristan last, well, episode 25 was more, impressive than remembering him here. Also, like, Tristan is kind of a interesting name for a character in the setting, I suppose.
Yeah, it feels to me very much like the name Crystal, or the name, Tiffany. It's like, I know for a fact that people have always been, not always, but these are very old names. But There's something very funny about a guy named Tristan.
I'm pretty sure Tristan was on the round table with Percival and Arthur.
It's the exact same reason why I was never able to take Trent Ickathon seriously, because his name is fucking Trent.
And Ikithong.
But I don't know, Ikithong I'll deal with, like it's stupid, but I'll deal with. But it's just his name is Trent. What is he, like a 22-year-old with a guitar? Like Trent? Are you sure?
With his best friend Brent.
Trent and Brent and Chad and Brad? Is he a fucking fraternity, bro? Why did
They're
you
all
name him
wearing
Trent?
pink polo shirts, and one of them can play Wonderwall on the guitar.
Yes, on the guitar.
And they all have smashed a beer can on their foreheads.
Yeah, Grog is having a bad time.
Grog gets a pickaxe and a shovel, and we can all be glad he didn't start taking grapes with it already.
Yeah. Additionally, the other 3 things that Liam Vax did is that he goes and he gets javelins, essentially.
Yeah, he gets wooden stakes to put through vampire hearts. I don't think those work here, but I mean, it's good to have.
It's good to have. Can't hurt. They're cheap.
He gets holy oil for weapons.
Yes, which is nice. He gets them for his sister.
Yep. And also himself. Mm-hmm. He looks for his trouser snake some more.
Of course he does. He can't help it.
Of course he does. And then he's being a visible stalker of Kynan, who still hasn't returned home.
Which is, again, he's like an adult man, and I know that Kynan is also an adult man. But he's less of an adult man than he is, and there's just something very creepy about this.
It is so weird.
Yeah.
So weird, you guys. So weird.
So weird.
Scanlan is doing a smart thing. Getting cleric spell scrolls, which I don't think he uses, but I mean, smart thing.
Smart thing.
Also getting everyone gets matching chainmail neck protectors.
And he attempts to get I thought this was a fun detail. He tries to get one for his dick, like a little cock ring dicky.
Yeah.
But
from store.
Yeah, the person working at the store said, No, I don't want to do that. And he goes, okay. Does not press.
Yep, go to a different store for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, Vox Machina spends his entire arc wearing matching chokers.
Yeah, matching dickies.
Where's the fan out of that?
Good question.
I mean, it sounds uncomfortable and probably shaves a lot, so they also have to wear fancy cloth underneath the chainmail around their necks, where's the fan out of that?
Yeah, this feels like how you'd accidentally get the ruffle, like the neck ruffle.
Oh my god. Yeah, you think neck ruffles are very fashionable in Whitestone to avoid being bitten?
Possibly. They harken back to the days of when the vampire occupation.
Wonderful. Vax now interjects and is like, oh, by the way, I also wanted to go to Gilmore's and get the helmet identified for 125 gold.
Wow, what a fucking... Vex is right to say, please haggle, because, like, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? Not even a spell slot.
Like, what is your hourly wage? And 1/6 of that is what it takes you to identify this, please?
The economy's in shambles.
There's no economy to speak of. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And now... oh yeah, this also, just to say while we're here with the Vax thing, he does a thing where he, like, clips a flower from Keyleth's gardens, which honestly kind of was like, what? Without asking?
Yeah, Vex makes gagging sounds at it, which, like, yes, justified, but also wow.
Wow, childish, but not out of character. But no, I was just mostly
Indeed.
Like, are you sure you like this girl? Because, like, I feel like she wouldn't be super keen on this.
He likes his girl, that doesn't mean he likes her boundaries.
That's true. Like, especially because right now, she's not thrilled with him.
She's not a fan of you, she refuses to talk to him for good reason.
She's quite mad at you. Maybe you shouldn't spend this time going to her garden and vandalizing her plants.
Yeah, maybe don't.
Maybe wait on that. Maybe wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vex gets her private lessons with Assume. Keyleth kind of,
he teaches her skirmisher or something.
Yeah, he teaches her to be sneaky. Yeah, I think so.
I always forget Assume is a ranger, not a rogue.
Yeah. He's a ranger who likes to hang out in people's bedrooms.
He has interests.
He sure has. Keyleth helps. She also gets an alchemy kit and tries to make health potions, and it's not very efficient, but otherwise she helps with other projects. And I think that's everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep. I mean, like, I do think it's notable that Vex doesn't really get anything for herself. Like, the only thing
what do you mean? Could this be starting a trend?
Yeah, I think the only thing she
does is learn a skill from a dude.
And, like, pay Jarrett.
True, right.
I don't know. I found it to be very noticeable.
Yeah, so then, and this is not even chronologically when we go through this, because he keeps remembering and going back and going back. Tiberius learns about enchantment rules right on the spot. He gets his chainsaw staff thingy bob to a +1 magical weapon, which apparently only takes a week. Well, congratulations on that one. He tries some other enchantments and is told by Matt, no, this takes a year. No, you have to unenchant, re-enchant. No, you can't just upgrade it. You can't just buy another slot for this thing.
That's not how that works. It's already very
Not how any of this works.
It's already a rare magical item.
Yeah, at some point, like, Laura is like, how about we stay on our power level?
Yeah, And,
through
all of this, you could just see Matt is getting tired. And tired.
He's getting tired. Travis is in the corner looking like a sad wet dog.
Yeah.
Like a Gossener poodle.
He's just fucking bored.
It's a poodle you put water on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just bored. He wants to do something. He just got a shovel and he would like to move.
He gets to do beard checks and now has a really pretty beard.
Yeah, it's a nice beard. It's all filled in. It's nice. And the last thing that Tiberius does is call his daddy.
Second to last thing. There's also... No, before that he tries to do a holy smoke grenades, but it's keyless, which doesn't work. He tries to, at some point he tries to combine enchantments, and Matt says no, and he's like, what if I try really hard? Sure, roll, no, and you spend 1,200 gold pieces on it.
Which, like, he had earned that one.
No,
Matt,
absolutely, like, the DM already said no.
Yeah, and then he said, are you sure about that? And go ahead, roll for it. No, it doesn't work. You're a fucking idiot.
Roll a 40. Congratulations, you didn't.
That's not how it works, sorry. Even if you roll a natural 20, you can't wish the sun out of the sky. That's not how it works.
And then he just apparently has, like, this plan to turn their basement, which has, like, a prison cell and Percy's workshop, into barracks for soldiers.
Because he wants to summon the army, obviously.
Yeah, he just sends their servant with plans to the building guy, and like, how long do you think rebuilding a basement takes, my dude, my guy?
It's a lot of time, and usually money.
Yeah, that you don't have anymore.
Yeah, because you used all of it. It's also very funny because he just comes back and is like, they didn't let me in the cloud top district. It's like, oh, right, yeah, we're banned from there.
Does he try to go to Allura before or after this?
I think after. He doesn't even really go to Allura. He just, like, changes his mind halfway through because he remembers.
Yeah, because he is being told that, like, because Matt's like, well, the guards tell you, oh, it's a cloud district. Well, then I realize what I'm doing and I'm stopped.
We wish you were.
Which you should have done, like, 45 minutes ago. And then he writes his dad for help, because apparently the suspicion of one vampire in one town over there is a cause for an international incident and also state of war.
Yeah.
Which, I will give him this. A spoiled, entitled, noble brat being like, I was inconvenienced and targeted by a spell specifically, so this is no war on all my people, is kind of, not the most unrealistic thing.
Yeah, that's how 90% of history has happened.
Pretty much. However, as Laura very pointedly points out, Tiberius is trying to be the Eagles at the end of Lord of the Rings and just resolve the plot before it starts.
And yeah, this isn't his thing to do, especially because, like, it feels like he's kind of trying to bypass the whole story already. Like, he doesn't really want to go to Whitestone, he's not really interested in it.
Yeah.
He'd like to be the big hero who goes to Whitestone, but he's not really interested in the work that entitles, so he kind of trying to bypass it already, and is already researching about ways to go to the Feywilds for his plot. Sorry, our plot.
Yeah, which is of course yeah, your favorite little slip there. Yeah, it's not
bad.
going well. It's very disrespectful of the whole story that's being planned. Like, both to Matt, who has definitely developed a story arc here, and both to Taliesin, whose, character arc this is.
Yes.
But why do any of that? Why do any of that when we can be about me instead? And the Fey Woods.
Yeah, the only thing that is positive out of this is that it gets Matt to basically call Tiberius a spoiled little boy in character.
Oh yeah. Like, first of all, Tiberius' dad has Matt's signature asshole dad voice.
He's got the one.
Like, put this dude... If Matt ever had to play a scene which had Tiberius' dad, Sildor, Terry's dad, and Bo's dad in a room together,
that's a circle.
A Spider-Man meme.
Yes,
it's a Spider-Man point meme.
He's got one bad dad.
They have the same voice. They have the same voice with slightly different accents.
Yes.
Does a gentleman have that voice?
No. But he is a bad dad.
I mean, he's a bad person and also a dad.
He's barely a dad at that. He's a dad.
He is.
Yeah. He donated some sperm.
He is a dad biologically, and then is a dad, and then he starts fucking your mom again.
For some reason.
Spoilers for Catman 2!
Yeah, so that's the errands.
Yeah, so at some point we are actually finally done.
And there's another hour.
The last fun bit we do here is that Keyleth summons an elemental to protect everyone, especially Desmond, and talks to it, and Taliesin just gargles next to her to mimic speaking the water elemental language.
Yeah. Talisin's still fresh and still very funny in this episode.
Yeah. He's ready for this.
He is. And, Matt very much, I think it's also very funny to have, like, that happen throughout, and then Matt just answers normally.
Yeah, because he doesn't have anyone to gargle for him.
He does not have anyone to gargle for him, sorry.
Percy also has apparently drawn maps of his homelands.
Of course he does. It's Percy.
Yeah, that tracks.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, and then they are off. Mm-hmm. They go to Westrune. They get horses, which they have for, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Rip to those horses. They were a very useful distraction. They scale some cliffs.
Kept those harpies from catching up.
They scale some cliffs. They notice that they hear screams in the distance. Oh no, harpies. Well, we don't need to worry about that because they've caught the horses. Which again, I cannot stress enough to you guys. Oh, and animal abuse. We need to add that. Oh, I guess animal abuse is kind of implied.
I was about to say animal cruelty. You should have done the animal cruelty just for the cows.
If you ever have to leave your horse alone for anything, don't tie it to something. I'm sorry that I have to say
Gonna break its neck.
Yes.
And everything else.
You would much rather have a horse that has run away from you. It's much easier to find a horse that has run away from you than a horse that's dead. I mean, it's easy to find a dead horse, but
but
you're not.
And it's
dead.
It's
dead. That's not. At least with a horse that's run away, you have a chance of getting a live horse out of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas, if you leave a horse tied up to something, it's gonna be dead one way or another.
Yep. So they do some challenges that are not very challenging, and we're just done, and then they have a camp scene. And for the camp scene, Keyleth brings back her conversation from last episode, talks to Percy directly about the whole your soul is forfeit business.
And I will say, this is a great conversation. I love this conversation.
Yes, and they love each other, and they are friends, and they hug, and it's cute. And it's a great conversation.
Despite the fact that Keyleth insight checks him, and it's, I don't know, I like it. The contrast is very fun. They love each other, they don't necessarily trust each other.
If your friend started yelling about souls being forfeit as if he's like the arbiter of that or something, would you necessarily trust them to be in full possession of the faculties right now?
No, though I do actually really like Percy's justification, which is, again, reads to me like an after-the-fact justification.
Such a nerd.
But also, yeah, it is. He just said it because, he thought it sounded cool, and, he thought about it for a very long time about the things that he'd say to sound scary as opposed to sounding scared.
Which is both extremely believable and also, dude, really?
You're such a fucking nerd. I love you so much. You are crying behind the mask.
Yeah, and not for torn up reasons, but for pathetic reasons.
You're just scared. You're just scared.
Just a little boy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're still just an 18-year-old drifting down the river.
Yeah. And something happened during this conversation that I didn't know what was happening until the comments pointed it out.
Ooh, what was it?
The chat has been trucking along during all of the shopping and all of the Tiberius errands, and is now getting angry at Marisha for metagaming.
Jesus fucking Christ. This is the few good moments in this awful episode, and God. Pearls before fucking swine.
Yeah, because look at that woman, she is talking. Cringe.
It's metagaming for Keyleth to be scared for her friend who she's seen acting recklessly.
It's metagaming for Keyleth to be concerned about this very concerning thing he said next to her that she made a point of noticing 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And last episode she brought up, and I know you feel like this is circular because a conversation with this general topic was already had, but not with him.
No.
This is, and actual quote, God, I hate these conversations with Keyleth, they eat up so much time, first of all, what do you think roleplay is? Second of all, would you rather go for more mirror shopping?
Apparently,
Westwood probably has 35 more mirrors to buy.
God, and I also feel like it's such a shame because it kind of reminds me of like how people will say that they're like empaths because they can identify like basic human emotions. Like it does sort of feel like metagaming, huh? It feels like Marisha is so much better than Orion is at role playing because she pays attention to things
and she remembers things. She tries to remember
and
things
writes
and
notes.
go back to them and have conversations about them. Oh, that too.
Yeah,
she literally does.
Yeah, it does feel like metagaming. It does feel like she's on a whole other level than him and is sort of operating on different cylinders than he is. Because she is. By paying attention.
Like, to be fair, everyone is playing an extremely different game from Orion because they do these character bits.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that they focus on
and that is just the key conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Like, the key conflict is here that Orion would like to play a power game where he makes his video game character do the bigger and bigger numbers, and everyone else would like to please roleplay a little bit, have a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have something, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But at the very least, we never have to have this conversation again.
Nope! There's another little bit. They continue traveling. The twinsies, both around at 20s on perception, and we're just discovering that some sort of scaly blue thing is chasing them, like the Smurfs or Sonic or, I don't know, Bahir or something. Travis gets to do a thing, gets to throw a rock very far away as a distraction. It doesn't work. We get a toothy jaw, which is totally different from a toothy maw. Lightning is shot. End of episode.
Yeah, something almost happened at the end.
Something almost happened. But it's been 3.5 hours and we all want to end this now and return to it next week. Well, whenever.
Are you talking about the episodes or the podcast recording?
Everything. I'm talking about everything all at once.
So do you want to rate these bad boys?
Yeah, it feels like unnecessary to do so, but we have a rating. Counting points on the Purvan scale.
The perfect, the beautiful, the serene, the Purvan scale.
You could have used C words for
Ladies
this.
and gentlemen, the Purvan scale.
She broke with a bit. No C words. Oh well.
No, it's okay. We also never said charming chatting.
Right. Well, whatever. I'll figure it out in the YouTube thingies. The timestamps are going to be saying this. It's fine. So,
counting points on the Purvan scale.
Yes, that one.
Which has like a really good cadence to it, by the way. Counting points on the Purvan scale. And the P is for possess.
Yeah. We're doing this for both episodes combined because why the fuck not?
Life's too short.
That too. Trinket has armor now. Laura wore very nice earrings, and had nice hair in the other episode.
Liam looks especially like a kind of a hipster.
Sure. There was also like the rock map that they didn't get to fight on was really pretty, and the map of Whitestone surrounding areas that we didn't even get to see looked really, really impressive. So like, I'd give a couple points.
Yeah, especially I just remembered Kit Buss's art too.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good, I think. Like a 1.5?
I'm feeling the 1.5.
1.5. These episodes need all the help they can get.
What does
the U stand for?
Uncomfortable and also undebatable. -10. Moving on.
Yeah, this is about as low as it'll get.
Nope, it's a -10. We don't have to talk about it. We talked about it too much already.
Yeah. R is for role-playing real.
I mean, I will say that it's not only just for the one thing we talked about at length, it's also just for the general mood at the table, the odd racism thrown in there, and just, it's just not fun to watch. It's just, I'm willing to bend the definition here. Willing to bend it. It's -10 when we don't know. Role-playing realness. Yeah. Not a lot of role-playing going on.
I almost want to give them a point just for, like, the fact that Marisha, like, fucking has some of her best role-playing in Campaign 1 in these episodes. And It's just so lost. It's just so, for like, such an unappreciative audience.
Yeah, Marisha was really the standout star of these episodes.
But they do go for naught, and they are short, and unfortunately get kind of lost in the weeds with all the shopping.
They get lost in the weeds, they get undermined by game mechanics. And there's also just a whole lot of non-role-playing going on here, so, a 2?
Yeah, 2.
Neat.
And that's being generous.
Do we have to just, the V is for vexiness, do we have to subtract points? Because she also had good moments. She had good moments, but she also,
she did.
you know...
It's not a great time. I do kind of want to subtract the points, but I also want to add a point, I don't know, like a negative 0.5?
Cool, yeah, that seems like... Because while she had some good moments, also bad moments were had at her expense, huh?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
The A is for action.
Something we could have stood to have a little more of, and when would we ever say that?
Yeah, that's a rare thing where you say, could have used more of that. Though I will say that I did actually think that the cow thing was kind of fun. It did not actually overstay its welcome, despite the fact that it's one of those unfortunate things where it is so overused and so overplayed.
Yeah.
But when you actually watch it, it is actually still enjoyable.
Yeah, people hype it for the wrong reasons, but it is still actually a pretty fun moment.
So I kind of want to give it like a point or like 2 points.
Yeah, 2 points, and we're also including the basement fight scene, which was also, you know, intense, gothic horror, danger sneaking up on you.
The thing that really sucks about episode 27 is that it starts so good and it ends so good, but like it feels like false advertising.
Yeah. Really. You can watch like the first hour and the last half hour and nothing in between.
Yes.
So 2 points.
So like a +2?
Yep.
Yeah.
2 feels good. I'm so glad I'm now pointing the points, not writing the points in the document.
Yeah. Ticks to the bridge.
The N is for 9 cents, and wow, we can subtract points again.
Yeah, we can. There was a lot of 9 cents.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 9 cents.
I wouldn't even count the cow thing as 9 cents, because that we had filler there was just like, due to Talos not being at the tables, and we had to spend the time somehow. No, the real 9 cents is just the copious errands that they go on that have nothing to do with the plot and don't pay off and whatever. So, -3?
It's the copious errors, it's the being callous to NPCs.
That
it's
too.
It's just being, like, insufferable.
Yeah.
It's 9 cents. So I'm thinking actually like a -3.
I was also saying -3, so that's good.
Oh, I thought you said -2.
Nope, 3. Okay, so, let's,
so we're in agreement.
3, 5, -5, -8.
Oof, that is really rough.
That feels
not undeserved.
expected. If we were rating them we were rating them separately, of course, I think the cow episode on its own would get a better scale. Would a better score.
Yeah, though I would say that the moments that are good in episode 27 are better than the cow episode, but the cow episode is
more even. Like, it's okay throughout. Yes. Whereas episode 27 had some high highs, but extremely low lows.
Would you rather get a dry and unflavored, overcooked burger that's all one texture and not very good? Or would you rather get 2 delicious Parmesan hunks on a plate of terrible spaghetti?
Yeah, you decide. We are done. We are done. We are done. We're done! In so many different ways.
Yeah.
Boy, are we done.
Yes. We never have to do it again.
We made it this far. Darling sweetheart.
We made it!
When we started this 2 years ago, did you think we'd make it this far?
I did actually think we'd make it this far.
Really? God damn.
I believed in us. But it still feels good to have made it.
Yeah. You know, also the 1.5 speed helps.
It does. Sometimes I don't like to do it. I specifically avoided doing that when I was first watching the show. I don't like to watch on 1.5 speed. I like to have those moments of quiet and like those moments of respite.
I do too.
And have like the moments of introspection, like especially when it comes to dialogue. Like sometimes the quiet moments in dialogues can hit so hard, and you never know until like you suddenly like you don't have it, and then you're like, oh, I need it. But
they are actors.
Sometimes you really
good
need
at what
it.
they do.
Yeah.
Good at talking.
Good at what they do. But sometimes you really need 1.5 speed.
Yep, and episode 27 is one of those cases.
If you want to watch, again, ultimately our suggestion is don't watch it. Just watch the first hour and then watch the last half hour, if anything.
Yep. And honestly, even like the first hour, you can just watch Percy's dream sequence and then know there's a fight scene and then go to the end. That's also fine. That's serviceable.
But if you insist on watching the whole thing, watch it at 1.5 speed.
Alright.
And I would say that's actually our opinion for this episode, but we can find out.
yeah, it's a good opinion. That's a good opinion. Let's just praise whoever invented the 1.5 speed for this episode and this episode in particular.
Yes, and that is our opinion for today. Thank you to you
for sticking with us. You, the listener, throughout all of this. Jesus fucking Christ, we made it.
We made it. Woof. Ah, feels good.
Woof.
Feels good. Cathartic.
Only uphill from here.
Only uphill from here.
For like a good long while.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And it's never, and you know, it's only going to go up from here, and it's never going to be this low again.
Yeah, I agree completely.
I'm going to feel more angry things about later episodes, but only because there's a higher degree of investment in the first place.
Yeah, we're gonna feel bad feelings and harsh emotions, but they're gonna be because we care.
We're getting rid of the basement. The floor is now higher.
Thank you to our patrons.
If you would like to listen to the comparatively short conversation we had before this, and the bits we cut out, and if you would like to see the notes we have with the wonderful C words I stuck to, Matt's cow face, Liam in his thirst trap shirt, and the very accusatory thumbnail they had for consequences and cows, and also all the notes. You can become our patron at the Patreon that is linked down below, or next to this, or wherever the notes are on whatever platform you're listening to this on.
Yes. Thank you to Lulafia for our art.
/ Michelle. Lulafia Michelle, our artist.
Who was in the last episode. Thank you to Carnson for allowing us to use his music.
Mm-hmm.
Not personally, it's just freely available. But thank you anyway, Carnson. And thank you.
He technically knows of our existence. I told him we're using it for the podcast. Not sure whether he checked it out or not.
Who can
say? Not sure if he cares.
Yeah, who can say? Thank you to you, Jana.
Maybe I'll contact him.
For making it through this far.
Thank you for sticking through this with, even though you got the Rona.
Yeah. And thank you to you, dear listener. Hope next week will be better.
Again?
Yeah. Again. Oh, fuck. Sorry, we already think. Yeah, thank you twice. Sure.
It's fine.
Fine. Alright.
Also, because I think we forgot to mention it, date of recording, April 1st/2nd.
Yeah.
Second by now for both of us.
The shoe at the clowns. The fools are done.
We didn't even talk about holidays. I wanted to rant about holidays. Oh well.
Next time.
Next time. Or next year. Or whenever.
Take care. Love you. Bye.
Wear a mask.
Bye.
Wear a mask, refresh your vaccinations. Stop doing that. That's awesome. Don't leave for the